Chapter 166. Wang Shi nodded and asked everyone, "Elders, if there's anything else you want to add, you can tell me." First elder asked, "Then what about the mortals in the clan? There are more than 100,000 people now. With so many people we have to manage them, right?" Wang Daoyuan answered, "I want to settle the matter of the cultivators first and then set up a general affairs hall to manage the ordinary clansmen. Since first elder asked, I'll tell you in advance. The clan's management of the mortals is also very careless. The various mortal settlements are also divided into villages, and the clan sends people to patrol them regularly. When managing the mortals, the cultivators also have to deal with the village chiefs directly. If we want to find disciples with spirit roots, we have to send clansmen to every village. It's really too much of a waste of time. Therefore, I plan to manage the mortals in the clan's territory separately. The neighboring villages will be divided into townships and have a village chief to manage them. The neighboring townships can also be set up as towns and have a town chief to manage them. The areas near Jade Spring Peak aren't too dangerous and can be completely left to the mortals. The townships in the border areas can be overseen by the stewards of the Guardian Hall. The management of these townships and the recruitment of disciples with spirit roots can be left to the General Affairs Hall. If the clan has any orders, the General Affairs Hall only needs to inform the town chiefs. If the clan wants to select clansmen with spirit roots, they only need to notify in advance and let the ordinary clansmen in the townships and villages bring disciples of suitable age to the town. The cultivators only need to go directly to the town and test these disciples, saving a lot of effort. Of course, if these mortal town chiefs and village chiefs deceive their superiors and use their power for personal gain, then they can be handed over to the disciplinary hall. Fourth uncle Wang Xian asked, "Then how do we manage the mulberry silkworms?" The planting and harvesting of the white jade spiritual mulberry are under the control of the spiritual plant hall. Raising the spirit silkworms and extracting the silk are not under the control of the spiritual plant hall. This is very troublesome. In addition, there are long-eared rabbits, jade-boned phoenix-tailed pheasants, golden rock antelopes, and forest foals used for transportation. If we don't care about these things, the clan's spirit fields will be ruined by them. Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, "Thanks to fourth uncle's reminder, I was only thinking about solving the big problem and almost forgot about these things. For the industries that are currently small in scale and not enough to establish a hall, we can establish a small hall and call it a department. For example, for the mulberry silkworm industry, we can establish a spirit silkworm department. For the management of spirit beasts, a spirit beast division could be established. When the scale was large enough, it could be directly upgraded to a hall. The manager of the spirit silkworm department and the spirit beast department could be called a general manager, and they could also manage many managers. The position of head chief was held by someone who was not an elder. His title and treatment were lower than that of an elder, and his authority and treatment were equal to or slightly lower than that of an elder. Like the elders, the managers were directly managed by the great elder. I suggest that the various halls don't have to be managed by elders. Some of the clansmen were talented in management, but their cultivation and contributions to the clan were not enough for them to become elders. They could also temporarily take on the role of chief steward and manage the hall. If there were areas where the authority of each hall and each division overlapped, they could be further divided. By the way, ninth great uncle, how many cultivators are there in the clan right now?" Ninth great uncle clearly remembered such important data. He didn't even need to think about it. At present, the clan has a total of 85 cultivators. Among them, there were still 10 people from the Ji generation, 25 from the Shou generation, and over 30 from the Dao generation. In addition, there are also cultivators who have married into the clan or married into the clan, a total of 18 people. Wang Daoyuan asked, "I heard that mortals whose ancestors were cultivators had a probability of giving birth to a child with spiritual roots. The highest was 1 in 10 and the lowest was 1 in 1,000. Our clan has more than 100,000 mortals. Even if a large portion of the clansmen were the descendants of more than 30 generations of our ancestors, the probability of giving birth to a cultivator dropped to 1 in 1,000. At the very least, there should be several hundred cultivators, but the clan's present cultivators are less than 100. What's going on?" The great elder replied, "There is indeed a saying that the probability of giving birth to a child with spiritual roots is higher among the mortal descendants of cultivators. However, this is not only a matter of bloodline but also a matter of living environment. The close relatives and descendants of cultivators live in places rich in spiritual aura. Occasionally they can eat spiritual grains and accumulate some spiritual aura in their bodies. Their children are influenced by the accumulated spiritual aura in their bodies, and the probability of them having spiritual roots is higher. If they live in places with thin spiritual aura and can't eat spiritual grains, the probability of their descendants having spiritual roots is not much higher than that of ordinary mortals. Wang Daoyuan pondered for a moment and said, "It seems that in order to increase the number of cultivators in the clan, we must first gather the clansmen in places rich in spiritual aura. In addition, the close relatives of the clan's cultivators as well as the wives and concubines of the cultivators, after they become pregnant, the clan will provide them with spiritual grains for free. With the clan's financial resources, it is impossible to provide for all the clansmen. We can only give priority to the close relatives of the cultivators. These matters can be handed over to the General Affairs Hall to manage in the future. Right now we can only let the Great Elder manage it. In the future the treatment of the clansmen will also have to change. According to the amount of contribution, they will be given a monthly allowance. However, these matters are rather detailed and can't be discussed clearly in a short period of time. It is better to first set the general framework and then slowly improve it later. If there are no problems, then we will assign managers to each hall and the 2 divisions. I have been outside for a long time and know very little about the clan's internal affairs. I am also unable to determine which elder is suitable for which hall. It is better for the clan head and the elders to discuss and decide." After he finished speaking, Wang Shi asked, "Elders, do you have anything else to add? If not, then we will discuss which hall each elder will be in charge of." None of the elders had any objections. Following this, they discussed the authority of each elder. Spiritual plants, pills and talismans. These 3 halls were purely technical institutions. Those who didn't understand couldn't manage them. 4th Uncle Wang Xian was the spiritual plants elder and managed the spiritual plants hall. 7th Uncle Wang Shohong was the pill elder and managed the pill hall. 5th Uncle Wang Shiyi was the spirit talisman elder. Wang Shiyi was 9th uncle's son and Wang Daoqing's father. Wang Shiyi was very similar to Wang Jida. His cultivation talent wasn't bad and his talisman talent was also above average. At this moment he was both peak Qi disciple and a second-level lower talisman master. It was natural for him to be the spirit talisman elder. 10th Uncle Wang Jihe was directly promoted to be the commerce elder and managed the commerce hall. The guardian hall and the transportation hall both needed to be strong enough in fights of magical powers. In addition, the transportation hall also needed to be familiar with the waterways. These 2 positions were best left to 8th Uncle and 9th Aunt. 9th Aunt guarded the northern part of the clan all year round and had little to do with water transportation. Thus, 9th Aunt Wang Shoujing was the guardian elder and 8th Uncle Wang Shoujiang was the transportation elder. The disciplinary hall was temporarily replaced by Wang Daoyuan. The finance hall was too important and there were no elders skilled in finance, so it could only be managed by the great elder. The mining hall was the most troublesome. It included searching for ores, mining, building various facilities and managing the protection and harvesting of the forest. The most troublesome work was naturally left to the person who needed the most experience. Wang Daoyuan wasn't willing to be the clan leader, so the position of the next clan leader fell to Wang Daochang. Thus, Wang Daochang was the mining elder and managed the clan's mines and forest. The general manager of the Spirit Beast Division was 15th Uncle Wang Shouchang. Wang Shouchang's cultivation talent was above average. He was over 60 years old and his cultivation had reached the 8th level of Qi disciple. He didn't practice the 100 arts of cultivation. He was only interested in raising spirit beasts and was in charge of raising the forest foals. Later, Wang Daoyuan got a few spirit beasts and they were all under his management. The Wang family didn't have any inheritance of raising spirit beasts. Now that there were more spirit beasts, Wang Daoyuan gave him the spirit-controlling mystic manual that he had obtained from Zhang Deshang after simplifying it. Wang Shouchang had no objections to managing the spirit beasts. The choice of the general manager of the Silkworm Department caused a huge controversy. Chapter 167. Because most of the management of the silkworms had nothing to do with cultivation. Picking, processing the mulberry leaves and feeding the ling silkworms regularly, normal people could do these tasks. When the ling silkworms were full, they usually wouldn't run around. One Xianxia could easily manage tens of thousands of ling silkworms. Due to this, the Xianxia that managed the ling silkworms all had low cultivation and didn't have any skills. To appoint the chief steward of the mulberry silkworm department, someone who had never managed silkworms was definitely not suitable. And those who had managed silkworms before were all of low cultivation. The chief steward could be said to be half an elder. The elders were not happy to appoint a Xianxia with low cultivation as the chief steward. Adding on that the silkworm industry would become the pillar of the clan in the future, no one would be reassured to give it to a Xianxia with low cultivation. In the end, Wang Shui, Wang Zhida, and Wang Daoyuan, the three people with the highest status, decided that regardless of cultivation, ability and contribution would be looked at. The chief steward of the mulberry silkworm department should be given to someone with ability, and not based on experience or cultivation. In the end, the position of chief steward of the mulberry silkworm department landed on Wang Daoxian's head. Wang Daoxian had entered the clan with Wang Daoyin. Her cultivation talent could only be considered average. She was 30 years old now and her cultivation was at the 6th level of Qilianhe. She had chosen ling plant cultivation among the 100 arts of Xiaoxing. Her ling plant cultivation talent wasn't very good, and the possibility of her becoming a level 2 ling plant farmer was very small. Because when she was at home she helped the family raise silkworms and spin silk. The life habits of the forbidden silkworms were not very different from normal silkworms, but their lifespan was much longer. Therefore, after the forbidden silkworms hatched, she was responsible for raising them. She had done this for more than a decade and she became the steward of the silkworms. Right now, to establish the mulberry silkworm department, there was no one more suitable than her to be the chief steward. All the elders and chief stewards had been chosen, and the first step of the reform had been taken. Wang Shui sighed in relief and said, "The responsibilities of the elders have been arranged clearly. Next, the elders will choose the stewards of the halls and departments. Daoyuan, the first step of the reform is almost done. What is the next step? Tell us first so everyone can be mentally prepared." Wang Daoyuan responded, "The next step has been pretty much said in the previous introductions. The most important thing was to prepare the General Affairs Hall. The General Affairs Hall was in charge of all the clansmen, including the establishment of towns and villages by ordinary clansmen and the search for clansmen with spiritual roots. Usually, the General Affairs Hall had to make decisions on all the big and small matters of the 100,000 people. Also, as mentioned before, in order to increase the number of cultivators in the clan, he gave out free spirit grains to pregnant clansmen. I have never managed ordinary clansmen before, so the arrangements for the General Affairs Department will be up to the elders. Other than the matter of the General Affairs Hall, there was also the matter of adjusting the treatment of the clansmen. He couldn't treat all his clansmen the same way. Those who carried out dangerous missions and those who made special contributions. When calculating their contribution points, they had to be given extra consideration. When giving out benefits, they also had to be given extra consideration. Also, for those with better talent in cultivation and the 100 arts of immortal cultivation, there would be extra subsidies to help them grow. I can only make suggestions for these matters. As for how to operate them, I can't tell you the standards, so I won't be giving instructions to an outsider. These were all things that could be implemented after the various halls were established. There were also some that could be established in the future when the number of clansmen increased. For example, the 100 Arts Hall that specialized in teaching underage disciples cultivation and the 100 Arts of Immortal Cultivation. There was also a hall that could gather information, spy on the enemy, and even assassinate members of the enemy forces. There was also a hall that could be separated from the Guardian Hall and the Transportation Hall to be responsible for external battles. These might take decades or even generations to establish and could be the goal of long-term reform. That's all I can think of. I also have a suggestion. Make use of the strength of the other clansmen. Those who know the truth are in the world, those who know the truth are in the wilderness. You should listen to the opinions of the other clansmen. Only then will they have the deepest feeling about the good and bad of the clan rules. Some of the stewards of the clan don't have to be cultivators. Many of the work can be done by ordinary clansmen, such as accounting, picking mulberries and raising silkworms. If the clan doesn't have enough cultivators, then use more capable ordinary people. Wang Shui smiled and said, since that's all, then write it down and slowly implement it in the future. This meeting ends here, dismissed. Ninth great-uncle Wang Zhida stopped him and said, there is still one more important thing to do. According to the rules of the immortal cultivation world, when the old clan leader is still alive, a celebration will be held for the new clan leader. We need to invite close clans to come and watch the ceremony. Our Wang clan now has 4 foundation-building cultivators, and our biggest threat, the Liang clan, is also declining. This is a joyous occasion, we must celebrate it properly. It just so happens that 10th brother is going to be called back to be an elder. He's familiar with this matter, so let him take charge of it. The other elders dispersed, leaving only the 12th uncle, 9th great-uncle, and Wang Daoyuan in the discussion hall. Wang Shui happily patted Wang Daoyuan's shoulder and said, I thought that after becoming the clan leader, I would be busy with those chores all day and wouldn't have time to drink anymore. I didn't expect that after your reform, I would only need to look at the results of the various affairs. It's more or less the same as before when I was in charge of the spiritual fields. Brat, you still know how to think about me. I have to train Dao Chong as soon as possible and let him be the clan leader. I'll be the grand elder and I won't have to do anything. Wang Zhida also smiled and said, Daoyuan's reform measures are really too good. I've been pressured by these clan chores all day. I was afraid that if something wasn't done well, it would cause damage to the clan. Now the burden has been reduced by more than 70%. When the General Affairs Hall is established and the Finance Hall finds a suitable elder, I'll be completely relaxed. However, what I'm most happy about is that you've actually become a second-tier upper-grade alchemist. You've shouldered the 2 important inheritances of the clan alone. To be able to train you, I can die in peace. Unfortunately, I won't be able to see the day when you become a 3rd-tier talisman master. When you become a 3rd-tier talisman master, you must go to the ancestral temple and tell me so that I can be happy there. The clan is getting stronger and stronger. When Shui grows up, it's only a matter of time before the glory of the ancestors reappears. For this unreachable dream, I and those old brothers have struggled for our entire lives. We finally saw hope, but unfortunately we don't have long to live. I really want to live for a few hundred years and see the day when the Wang clan becomes a Jindan clan. Wang Daoyuan comforted, 9th great-uncle, why don't you try using the foundation establishment pill? Wang Zhida waved his hand and said, no need. No matter how many foundation establishment pills there are, it's useless. I know my body well in my heart. It can't withstand the medicinal power of the foundation establishment pill. Each generation does the work of the next. Our generation pulled the clan back from the edge of collapse and made the clan rise. The heavy responsibility of leading the clan to reappear the glory of the ancestors falls on your shoulders. 6th brother is gone and 5th brother is gone. Only 10th brother and I are still holding on. We can't hold on for more than a few days. Our era has passed. It's your era in the future. Finished speaking, he bent his back and slowly walked out of the assembly hall with his hands behind his back. He walked back to the assembly hall and continued to deal with the clan's affairs. At the moment of reform, all kinds of affairs were the most numerous. There were still many things that he needed to deal with. His steps were very calm, as if he wasn't facing a mountain of affairs, but walking towards the dream in his heart. Chapter 168. The news of changing the clan rules quickly spread in the clan. Everyone was most concerned about the matter of 10th granduncle becoming an elder. According to the original clan rules, it was unlikely for most cultivators to become elders. Their hard work and sacrifice for the family might not be rewarded. Now that the clan rules had changed, many people who originally had no hope of becoming elders now saw hope. Even if they were only honorary elders, their monthly stipends and status were real. Even if they couldn't become elders, being a steward wasn't bad either. The treatment was much better than before. Moreover, it was said that the monthly stipends would be changed in the future. Those who had made special contributions would be given more contribution points and more monthly stipends. The clan members' enthusiasm for work suddenly rose, and the entire clan's spirit and outlook were brand new. All these years, 10th granduncle had been staying in Mirror Iron Mountain to manage the business in Green Willow Province. The clan was establishing various halls and had many matters to attend to. As the trading elder, 10th granduncle needed to return as soon as possible to sort out the affairs of the trading hall. In addition, he had to prepare for the clan leader's succession ceremony. It would take several days for him to return on the spirit ship. In order not to delay matters, Wang Daoyuan personally brought Yun Yi to pick up 10th granduncle. The fact that the Cloud-Winged Tiger had managed to subdue 10 Foundation establishment cultivators with a single roar spread like wildfire. When the clansmen saw Yun Yi flying in the sky, they were also very excited. Yun Yi was even more excited. She was bullied in the Spiritual Pearls space all day long and couldn't fly freely. After the Spiritual Pearls space was upgraded, it was less than 300 feet tall. It was too small for her huge body. Now that she had a chance to come out, she was willing to do manual labor. As soon as this fellow came out, she flew desperately. Wang Daoyuan couldn't catch up with her at all. He might as well just ride it and hurry on his way. Yun Yi flew at a normal speed more than 2,000 miles in 2 hours. The man and the tiger arrived at Mirror Iron Mountain in less than 2 hours. When the clansmen of Mirror Iron Mountain saw Wang Daoyuan riding Yun Yi, they were very envious. Time was of the essence, so he didn't have time to stay. He returned to Jade Spring Peak after picking up 10th granduncle. 10th great-uncle was already over 110 years old. He rode Yun Yi and flew in the air. He was as excited as a child. Yun Yi's flying speed was fast, and Wang Daoyuan cast a layer of spirit energy barrier on her. He excitedly said, "Daoyuan, remove the protective shield. I also want to experience the feeling of flying. I've always envied you Foundation establishment cultivators for being able to fly on swords." It was a pity that Foundation establishment cultivators couldn't take others with them on their flying swords, so they had never tried it before. I didn't expect that I would have a chance after being buried up to my neck. Wang Daoyuan asked Yun Yi to slow down and then put away the protective shield. Feeling the wind blowing on his cheeks, the 100-year-old man was so excited that his eyes were brimming with tears. The two of them quickly arrived at Jade Spring Peak. As soon as 10th great-uncle landed, he began to command his clansmen to prepare for the clan head succession ceremony. 5 days later, the entire Jade Spring Peak was draped in red and jubilant decorations. Next, it was time to invite guests. This job could only fall on Wang Daoyuan's head. Qi condensation cultivators were too slow, and he was the only junior among the Foundation establishment cultivators. After all, there was no reason for an elder to do the job of sending invitations. Preparing for the disciplinary hall was also simple. The disciplinary hall usually didn't have a fixed job. A few upright clansmen with management experience were found to be stewards, and the daily affairs were left to them to manage. After spending 3 days, they finally visited all the clans in the northern part of Qingli Prefecture that were friendly with the Wang clan. Half a month later, the clan head succession ceremony officially began. Wang Daochong and Wang Daoyuan were in charge of welcoming guests. Wang Daochong was in charge of welcoming Qi condensation cultivators, and Wang Daoyuan was in charge of welcoming Foundation establishment cultivators. The Meng clan sent Meng Chongfeng in person while the Yang clan sent Yang Yulin. The clans that were in the same camp as the Yang clan, whether they were Foundation establishment or Peak Qi condensation elders, all sent people to congratulate them. The congratulatory gifts were also relatively simple. Most of them were medicinal pills, spirit medicines, magic tools, and the like that early-stage Foundation establishment cultivators could use. After half a day, all the friendly clans nearby had arrived. The clan head succession ceremony was about to begin. Wang Daoyuan and Wang Daochong also had to return to the ancestral temple to participate in the ceremony. At this moment, a sword light flashed in the southwest direction. After a few breaths, a Foundation establishment cultivator landed in front of Wang Daoyuan. The person laughed loudly. "The Wang clan doesn't treat me as a friend. Such a big event like the clan head succession ceremony, and they didn't even inform me. Today I have to make Wang Daoyu drink a good cup." Wang Daoyuan bowed and said, "Senior Li, please forgive me. The two clans are thousands of miles apart and you have to deal with a lot of matters every day. I dare not trouble you with such a small matter." The person who came was the Li clan head Li Xinghe, who had a conflict with the Jin clan outside Jinyan City. Wang Daoyuan welcomed Li Xinghe to the ancestral temple. At this moment, the older generation of Foundation establishment cultivators were all chatting around Wang Xian, and the younger generation were all chatting around Wang Shi. Seeing that Li Xinghe had arrived, Wang Xian immediately went forward to welcome him. Li Xinghe said reproachfully, Wang Dao, you don't treat me as a friend. You didn't even send me an invitation for such a big event. I came uninvited. Don't tell me the Wang clan didn't prepare food and wine for me? Wang Xian smiled and said, You are a busy person with many things to do. How would I dare to trouble you with such a small matter? Don't worry about the food and wine. It's enough to get you drunk dozens of times. Xianxia sighed and said, I really envy you. The Wang clan has a successor and you have such a good successor like Shi little friend. Also, Dao Yuan and Dao Chong, these two little friend, can also take on important roles. Unlike me, I have to personally deal with the matters of the clan. Wang Xian smiled and said, You are too modest. The Li clan has more than 100 cultivators, and I have seen only 2 juniors who can take on important roles. If you want to be like me and focus on cultivation, can't you find someone to entrust it to? Xianxia smiled in relief. There are indeed a few juniors in the clan who can be entrusted with important roles. However, compared to the 3 juniors you have, they are still lacking. Furthermore, they are still immature. I am still worried about handing the clan over to them now. The two of them exchanged pleasantries and soon the ceremony officially began. Grand Duke Wang Jiza personally read the sacrificial oration in front of the ancestral temple, informing the ancestors that the clan had a new clan leader. The sacrificial oration first praised Wang Xian for stabilizing the clan that was on the verge of collapse during his time as the clan leader, and even led the clan to prosperity. After that, it praised Wang Shui for his excellent talent, and for being able to take on important roles. He would definitely be able to inherit the foundation of the ancestors, carry on the ambition of reviving the clan, and lead the clan back to its former glory. Finally, it prayed for the ancestors to bless the clan and ensure that the clan would prosper for 10,000 years. After the sacrificial oration was read, the new and old clan leaders handed over the clan leader's seal. Wang Xian handed the Raging Wave sword and the clan leader's seal to Wang Shui, and gave him a few words of encouragement. The Raging Wave sword was a magic tool that Wang Qingzu often used when he was still a foundation establishment cultivator. Later on, because the Wang clan leader had always been a foundation establishment cultivator, this sword became the symbol of the Wang clan leader's identity. Wang Shui bowed and received the sword and seal, expressing that he would work hard and lead the clan back to its former glory. After the ceremony, it was time to start the banquet. Wang Daoyuan led everyone to the hall below the ancestral temple, north of the Jade Dragon Spring. The hall was only used for important events such as the arrival of important guests or the inauguration of the clan leader. The final segment of the ceremony was held in the hall. Currently, the Wang clan had many different types of spirit beasts and spirit fruits, and they even had the scarlet blood wine that had been stored in the cellar for decades. In addition, they had a restaurant that had been open for more than 20 years, and they also had a few clan members with good culinary skills. All the guests who came to congratulate them were full of praise for the Wang clan's food and wine. Chapter 169. After 3 rounds of wine and 5 dishes, everyone began to leave. However, Xianxia and Meng Chongfeng passed out drunk. After everyone left, the two of them suddenly became energetic. Wang Shui naturally knew that the two of them deliberately passed out drunk because they had something to discuss. He led the two of them to the meeting hall. Wang Daoyuan also came to the meeting hall. The 2 Grand Supreme Elders were not in charge, so he was the only one discussing with Wang Shui. After the 4 of them sat down, Wang Shui asked, Daoyu, what's the matter? Xianxia smiled and said, The matter is like this. A few clans in the northern part of Heiyang County have built a new market by the Heiyun Lake. They want to invite the Wang clan to join them. Heiyang County was west of Qingli County. It was not like Qingli County where the Qingli River covered the entire county. The southern part of Heiyang County was close to the Wanchuan River. There were many rivers and water transportation was convenient. The northern and central parts were more awkward. There were no large rivers, only small rivers and large grasslands. Several small rivers converged to form a medium-sized lake, which was Heiyun Lake. Heiyun Lake was located slightly east of the northern part of Heiyang County. It was not far from Qingli County, but it did not belong to the Qingli River. Heiyun Lake was considered the water transportation hub of the northern and central parts of Heiyang County. Building a market here would be extremely beneficial to the clans in the central part of Heiyang County. However, Heiyun Lake did not have a large amount of water. When there was plenty of water, the lake water could flow south and finally join the Wanchuan River. During normal years, the lake water would flow south for 1,000 miles and then dry up. Most of the time, Heiyun Lake was an isolated water transportation hub and was not connected to other water systems. Therefore, the matter of building a market at Heiyun Lake was something that the clans in the northern part of Heian County played behind closed doors. There was not much meaning for the Wang clan and Meng clan to get involved. Before the spirit-forbidding silkworms were developed, the Wang clan was mainly engaged in the ore and spiritual wood business. These were all major commodities. It was too time-consuming to transport large quantities of goods by land. They also needed a large number of spiritual beasts to transport the goods and a large number of cultivators to protect the goods. The Wang clan's water transportation was extremely convenient. Even if they wanted to expand the clan's business, it was most convenient to travel downstream along the Qingli River. Wang Daoyuan asked, "This Crane Cloud Lake is thousands of miles away from the Jade Spring Peak, and there is no water route connecting it to the Jade Spring Peak. To my Wang clan, traveling by land is not very realistic." Before Li Xinghe could open his mouth, Meng Chongfeng hurriedly interjected, "Wang Dao, you may not know this, but the distance between the upper reaches of the turbid water stream and the Leaping Horse River, a tributary of the Crane Cloud Lake, is only a little more than 100 miles. As long as the two rivers are connected, the waterway will be clear." The turbid water stream was a tributary of the Qingli River. It flowed into the Qingli River about 100 li south of the Qingli city. The Meng family's Ash Cloud Peak was located next to one of the tributaries of the muddy water stream. When the Meng family transported large quantities of goods to Clear Glass City, the main waterway was turbid water stream. The Yuma River originated from the border between the two counties and flowed westward into the Crane Cloud Lake. The Leaping Horse River was not big and the river surface was only 30 to 40 feet wide. First-rank horse-type demonic beasts could directly jump across, hence the name Leaping Horse River. Li Xinghe continued, "Although the Yuma River's water volume is small, its advantage lies in its low terrain. The turbid water stream was located at a high altitude and had a large amount of water. As long as the two rivers were connected by a canal, the abundant water of the turbid water stream would flow into the Yuma River through the canal. At that time, the Wang family's goods would flow into the turbid water stream along the Qingli River. Going upstream and passing through the canal, they would enter the Yuma River and reach the Crane Cloud Lake market. From what I know, the Qingli County's production of various ores and spiritual wood is extremely high. In the Qingli city market they cannot be sold for a good price. However, the north of the Heian County is filled with towering mountains and precipitous ridges with many demonic beasts. There are very few suitable mines and there is no water transportation. Thus, the entire Heian County is extremely lacking in ores and spiritual wood. As long as the Wang family transported their ores and spiritual wood over, the price would easily increase by several folds. Furthermore, the demand in Heian County is very high. The ores and spiritual wood transported by the Wang family will definitely not be overstocked." Wang Shui asked, "If I remember correctly, the mountain between the turbid water stream and the Yuma River is the Iron Screen Mountain, right? The rocks of this mountain are extremely hard. Do you have the ability to dig through it?" Li Xinghe's face was filled with joy as he said, "If it was in the past, we wouldn't even dare to think about it. However, the clans of Heian County have been excavating the west side of the Iron Screen Mountain for hundreds of years. Some time ago, the Iron Screen Mountain collapsed from the excavation and a 30-meter wide gap appeared. After a few of our foundation establishment cultivators went to investigate, they all felt that we could use this gap to dig a canal that connects the turbid water stream and the Yuma River." Wang Daoyuan and Wang Shui were both flabbergasted. Wang Shui didn't know whether to laugh or cry as he said, "You Heian County cultivators are really poor. Apart from being hard, the rocks of the Iron Screen Mountain don't have much value. Is there a need to fight to the death for hundreds of years?" Li Xinghe laughed awkwardly. "Aren't we going crazy from the lack of rocks? We can only dig whenever we see a rock. I didn't expect to find such a great benefit." Wang Shui pondered for a moment before saying, "My Wang family is lacking people. We can't spare anyone to help dig a canal." Li Xinghe didn't find it strange at all as he laughed. "How could we trouble the Wang family with such a small matter? We can send people from our side." After all, the biggest obstacle, the Iron Screen Mountain, has already been excavated. The other places aren't much. With the strength of us foundation establishment cultivators, we can dig a 100-mile canal in no time. I came here to contact a few clans that produce ores, stones and wood to do business in Heiyun Lake Market. Wang Daoyuan asked, Senior Li, why don't you contact the Yang family? The Yang family is now the leading clan in the north of Qingli County. As long as the Yang family agrees, isn't this a small matter? Li Xinghe sighed and said, if we can convince the Yang family, it'll be fine. However, this matter will harm the Yang family's interests. The Yang family mainly refines weapons. The cheaper the ores and spiritual wood in Qingli County, the greater the benefits for the Yang family. However, once the waterway between Qingli County and Heiyun Lake is opened, the ores and spiritual wood in Qingli County will have a new market. The price will definitely rise and it will be disadvantageous for the Yang family. It's already good enough that the Yang family doesn't personally suppress them. Why would they help? Wang Shi thought for a while and said, this matter is really not easy to handle. My Wang family and the Yang family have been friends for hundreds of years. If it really harms the Yang family's interests, I won't dare to act rashly. I will need to discuss it with the clan's elders. Li Xinghe wasn't in a hurry and replied, this should be done. I am currently in the Iron Screen Mountain area and am in charge of excavating the canal. If there is a result, you can tell Dao Yumeng and let him pass it on to me. Finished speaking, Li Xinghe and Meng Chongfeng bid farewell and left. After they left, Wang Shi asked, Daoyuan, what do you think about this matter? Wang Daoyuan replied, we are all amateurs in this area. I don't even know the price of spiritual wood and ores. It's better to ask 10th granduncle. He is an expert in this area. Wang Shi nodded and said, then gather all the elders and discuss this matter. Especially 10th granduncle's opinion. Chapter 170. At this time the celebration had just ended. The elders of the family were still at Jade's Spring Peak. With the patriarch summons, all the elders quickly arrived at the discussion hall. Wang Daoyuan explained the whole story to the elders. After that, Wang Shi said, the whole story of this matter, Daoyuan has already explained it very clearly. What should we do next, elders? Please discuss it. Daochang, you are the elder of the mines. You speak. Wang Shi wanted to nurture Wang Daochang and then become the grand elder himself. He wanted to train him when he had the chance. Wang Daochang was called. He could only stand and answer, this depends on how much profit there is. If the profit can be multiplied several times, there is no harm in doing this. After all of our Wang family's mines and forests are currently in a state of suppressing production. There are too many mines and forests in Qingli County. The market is only so big. No matter how much ore is mined, it cannot be sold. It takes too much time to transport it to the lower reaches of Qingli River. Tier 1 ore and spirit wood are not worth it. If we can open up a water transportation route to Heiyang County, there is no need to worry about not being able to sell things. There is also no need to suppress production. The family's income can also rise to another level. As for offending the Yang family, we did not directly go against the Yang family. Now that there was a new market for ores and spiritual wood, it was only natural that their prices would rise. It is not like our Wang family did it on purpose. Even if they want to find trouble, they cannot find us. Besides, our Wang family will be selling spirit-restricting silk in the future. That is a huge profit. Selling to anyone is the same. We will just sell more to the Yang family. Since the Yang family had obtained great benefits, they wouldn't bother about these trivial matters. But I don't understand why Meng Chongfeng is so proactive. Can't he see that this is a matter of offending the Yang family? Offending the Yang family will not affect us much. The Wang family is already the strongest subordinate family in the Yang family camp. Whatever the Yang family does, they will definitely rely on our Wang family. They will not become enemies with our Wang family over such a small matter. The Meng family can only survive because of the Yang family. Even surviving is difficult. Where did they get the guts to offend their backer? 9th great uncle smiled. I admire 5th brother's eye more and more. He has long said that Dao Chang is also the material to be the patriarch. He did not see it before. He was indeed a good seedling if he were to be sent out to gain experience. Dao Chang's analysis is correct. There's no harm in our Wang clan doing this business. If he indirectly damaged the Yang family's interests, the Yang family wouldn't do anything. In the future he could use the spirit-restricting silk to make up for it. As for what the Meng clan thinks, Daoyuan, you tell us. Wang Daoyuan stood up and replied, now I finally know why Senior Meng Qingshan said he was worried before he died. On the day Taigong and I went to pay our respects, Meng Chongfeng used the excuse of thanking Yun Yi for carrying Senior Meng's coffin back and asked me to release Yun Yi to help him. After receiving the compensation from the Liang family, they did not return the gifts to thank the Yang family and our Wang family. Could be seen that Meng Chongfeng was indeed a person with means. He could see the benefits in front of him and he had the ability to take them. However, he didn't understand the principle of reciprocity and didn't know how to deal with other forces. He wasn't a qualified leader. Moreover, he was too short-sighted and could not see the future. He thought that the Yang clan needed the Meng clan to besiege the Liang clan. If the Meng clan did something out of line, the Yang clan could forgive them and didn't think about the future. Several decades later, the Liang clan's ancestor would pass away, and the Liang clan would definitely decline. The Yang clan would no longer need to guard against the Liang clan. Would they still tolerate a weak subordinate who always wanted to poach their people? He didn't have the ability to stand firm, so he wanted to kick his backer away. Perhaps the Meng clan's foundation would be destroyed in Meng Chongfeng's hands. 10th Granduncle said regretfully, the Meng clan is really unlucky. The only one suitable for foundation building isn't the right person to be a patriarch. Wang Shi asked, elders, do you have any objections? If you don't, then agree for now. Afterwards we'll send people to try and see how much profit we can get. If the profit is low, then we'll ship less. If the profit is high, we'll buy a shop there and do this business well. 10th Granduncle, you'll be in charge of this matter. Dao Chong and Dao Yuan will assist you. The three stood up and said yes. Wang Daoyuan directly rode his sword to Qingyun Peak and explained the Wang clan's intentions to Meng Chongfeng. After Meng Chongfeng received the news, he eagerly sent a message to Li Xinghe. Wang Daoyuan took his leave and thought to himself, what a pity. This kind of person can be used to assume personal responsibility, but not to take charge of the overall situation. He's a talented general, but he's sitting in the position of marshal. 2 months later, Meng Chongfeng came to Yuchuan Peak and passed on the news to Li Xinghe. The canal between Muddy Water Stream and Yuma River had been dug through. Li Xinghe invited the Wang clan to send people to Heiyun Lake Market to discuss matters of cooperation. The Wang clan had long since made preparations. They sent out 10th Granduncle Wang Daochong and Wang Daoyuan with 2 spirit ships to Heiyun Lake. Of the 2 spirit ships, one was loaded with all the Wang clan's ores and the other was loaded with all the types of spirit wood. Only a little of each type was loaded. The goods on these 2 ships were used to test the waters and see what kind of price they could be sold for in Heiyun Lake Market. They could also display the types of products the Wang clan had. The 2 ships set off from Sleeping Bow Lake and headed south. After reaching Clear Glass Market, they continued south for 100 li. When they reached the place where Muddy Water Stream flowed into Clear Glass River, the river water here was half muddy and half clear. The eastern half of the river was so clear that the bottom could be seen, while the western half was filled with roiling turbid waves. The spirit ship turned here and entered Muddy Water Stream. Muddy Water Stream's volume was no less than Clear Water Stream. It was just that the water surface was narrower and the flow was faster. 3,000 li to the west, the tall mountain range in the west could already be seen in the distance. This was the legendary Iron Screen Mountain. It really was like a huge screen that separated things. After another 1,000 li, Iron Screen Mountain was already in sight. Muddy Water Stream originally flowed from south to north, but it turned back here and flowed east. The place where Iron Screen Mountain had been dug and collapsed just happened to be where Muddy Water Stream turned. This place that had been dug and collapsed was named Heaven's Gate Pass. This name was quite appropriate. Looking from the east, it really did look like a gate had opened in the sky. The stream was artificially divided into 2 here. About half of the water passed through Heaven's Gate Pass and flowed west. Wang Daoyuan did not dare to let the spirit ship pass rashly. If the west side of Heaven's Gate Pass was a steep slope, the spirit ship would definitely be smashed to pieces. He flew over Heaven's Gate Pass on his sword in advance and found that the west side was a huge gentle slope. The slope was much smaller than the east side. There was no difficulty for the spirit ship to sail here. The location of Heaven's Gate Pass could be said to be just right. It was very convenient to lead the stream through Heaven's Gate. He really did not believe that it had been dug and collapsed accidentally. The spirit ship passed through Heaven's Gate Pass and entered the canal. This canal was more than 200 feet wide and more than 3 feet deep. The water flow was not particularly fast. The spirit ship was driven by spiritual power and could barely go against the flow. This river was not very wide or deep, but it was dug out of Iron Screen Mountain, which had extremely hard rocks. With the hardness of Iron Screen Mountain's rock, Wang Daoyuan's golden knife technique could only leave a mark less than an inch deep on the rock. A canal that was more than 100 miles long could not have been dug out in a short time. In order to break through Iron Screen Mountain and open up the waterway between the two counties, several families in Heian County really spent hundreds of years of effort. Chapter 171. After passing through Heaven's Gate, the rest of the waterway was easy to traverse as it flowed downstream. They sailed along the canal for over 100 miles before entering Yuma River. The upper part of Yuma River was only 30 feet wide. After the canal flowed in, the width of the river expanded to almost 30 feet. The lower part of Yuma River was also widened by people. The riverbank was very neat and there was no sign of the river water flowing out of control. Following Yuma River westward for over 2,000 miles, they arrived at Heiyun Lake. Heiyun Lake was a circular lake with a small area of less than 200 miles in diameter. This was only after the canal was dug and the muddy water stream poured in. Wang Daoyuan had stayed in Luliu province for nearly 20 years and was used to the Hundred Rivers Lake. Now Heiyun Lake was too small. Near the shore there was grass that had just been submerged underwater. It seemed that after the canal was dug the lake expanded a lot. The center of the lake was very deep, at least 30 to 40 feet deep. The place where Crane Cloud Lake was located was a natural depression. The east, west, and north sides were very high and the rivers all converged towards Heiyun Lake. Only the southeast corner of the lake was low. The lake water flowed out from there and formed a stream called Heiyun Stream. Heiyun Stream was 50 to 60 feet wide and only 1 foot deep. The water flow was very gentle. This amount of water was incomparable to the amount of water from Heaven's Gate. In the future, the water level of Heiyun Lake would continue to rise and the flow of Heiyun Stream would also increase until the water level of Heiyun Lake stabilized. At this moment, Wang Daoyuan finally understood that the few clans of Heian County had big plans. Digging through Taiping Mountain was not only to connect the two counties to each other, but also to expand southward. Half of the muddy water stream's water flow would be channeled into Heiyun Lake and the flow of Heiyun Stream would skyrocket. Even in normal years, it could flow southward into Wanchuan River and navigation would not be a problem. In this way, after the clans in the northern part of Heian County became stronger, they could expand their business to the southern part of Heian County through the waterway. Digging through Taiping Mountain would solve the problem of lacking resources in the northern part of Heian County and provide a bright future for the clans in the northern part of Heian County. It would also solve the problem of Qingli County's resource backlog, killing 3 birds with 1 stone. The old ancestors of these clans were really far-sighted. The Yuma River converged from the east of the Crane Cloud Lake, and the Crane Cloud Creek was at the southeast corner of the Crane Cloud Lake. The Crane Cloud Lake Market was built on the shore between the mouth of the Yuma River and the Crane Cloud River. It was convenient to receive the resources from Qingli County, and it was also convenient to do business with the southern powers of Heian County. However, the market square was not completed yet. Only a few dozen shops near the mouth of the Yuma River had been completed. The layout of the market square was very particular. The whole market square was like a rake and the teeth of the rake extended into the lake. On each rake there was a street and on both sides of the street were shops. Behind each shop was a small pier, making the best use of water transportation. On the shore of the lake there were only a few shops and a road connecting the various rakes. These rakes were made of rocks and they were more than 2 zhang above the water surface. They had fully taken into account that the water level of Heiyun Lake would continue to rise in the future. As soon as the Wang family's spirit ship arrived, more than 10 people immediately came forward to greet them. The 5 or 6 people in front were all Foundation Establishment cultivators. They should be the patriarchs of the various families. The leader was Li Xinghe. The spirit ship docked at the first rake closest to the mouth of the Yuma River, and the 3 people of the Wang family disembarked. Li Xinghe was a foundation establishment cultivator. As the only foundation establishment cultivator of the Wang family, Wang Daoyuan naturally had to walk at the front. Li Xinghe cupped his hands. "Little friend Wang, how have you been? The few of us have been waiting here for the stars and the moon, and finally our little friend has arrived." Wang Daoyuan returned the greeting. "The mountains are high and the water is far away. I'm not familiar with the waterways, so I walked slowly. I've made all of you wait. There are still important matters in the family, so the patriarch can't come personally. I hope that all of you will forgive him." Li Xinghe waved his hand. "The Wang family has many businesses and many affairs. How can the patriarch leave so easily? We are already very satisfied that our little friend can come. Please come in, we can slowly discuss business matters." Under Li Xinghe's lead, Wang Daoyuan and the other two people came to a hall that was very similar to the Wang family's meeting hall. Everyone took their seats. Li Xinghe asked, "What kind of spiritual items did the Wang family bring this time?" Wang Daoyuan answered, "The Wang family is weak, our territory is small, and we have few businesses. This time, we only brought 10 types of first-grade ores, 2 types of second-grade ores, 12 types of first-grade spiritual wood, and 1 type of second-grade spiritual wood. However, we didn't bring much of each type of resource. The patriarch wants us to first bring samples and see the price." Hearing that there were more than 20 types of resources, and 3 types of second-grade ones, the few foundation establishment cultivators became excited. Li Xinghe asked, "What are the types? Can little friend Wang tell us?" Wang Daoyuan introduced Wang Zhihe and Wang Daochang to everyone, saying, "This is my 10th granduncle, the Wang family's elder in charge of trade. This is my second brother, the Wang family's elder in charge of mines and forests. If you want to ask about the types of ores and spiritual wood, you can ask my second brother. If you want to ask about business, my 10th granduncle can answer." Wang Daochang gave a detailed introduction of the ores and spiritual wood that he brought. Li Xinghe asked, "How much of this green jade bamboo can the Wang family provide?" Although this item isn't considered rare in Qingli County, it is a rare item in the northern part of Heian County. The second-grade spiritual wood that the Wang family brought was precisely the green jade bamboo. Although this item wasn't classified as a tree, it was usually included in the spiritual wood category during business transactions. Wang Daochang answered, "The Wang family hasn't been cultivating this green jade bamboo for long. Every year we only produce 4 or 5 stalks and sell them to the Yang family. Every year we can sell at most 2 stalks to Heiyun Lake Market. The green jade bamboo needed to grow for 20 years before it could be used to refine magic tools. A complete stalk of green jade bamboo could at most be used to refine low-grade second-grade magic longswords. Taking into account the success rate, normal tool refiners could only produce 2 or 3 swords at a price of around 2,000 spirit stones each. At Qingli Market, the price of a stalk of green jade bamboo was usually around 1,000 spirit stones. Wang Daoyuan ordered the boatman to carry a stalk of green jade bamboo to the door. Several foundation establishment cultivators immediately used their spiritual sense to sweep it over. Soon after, they used their spiritual sense to communicate with each other. Afterwards, Li Xinghe made a bid. "How about 2,000 spirit stones for a stalk of this green jade bamboo?" Of course, this was only a test price. The 3 Wang family members only smiled and didn't say anything. Li Xinghe sighed and said, "At most 3,000. Although there aren't any cultivators from other counties that come to Heian County to sell resources, there are still cultivators that sell magic tools. A low-grade second-grade magic tool is only around 3,000 spirit stones. If the price of the green jade bamboo is any higher, we tool refiners won't be able to make any profit." The 3 Wang family members used their spiritual sense to communicate and nodded in agreement. Chapter 172. From the Sleeping Bow Pond at the bottom of Jade Spring Peak to Heiyun Lake Market, the journey was more than 8,000 miles. In addition, half of the journey was against the current and the ship was fully loaded with goods. Even if the spirit ship was fully powered, its speed would not be fast. From the departure to the arrival of the spirit ship at Heiyun Lake, it would take more than 10 days. Although the journey was long and time-consuming, 3 times the price was still very profitable. After that, Wang Daoyuan ordered his clansmen to bring the samples of the goods to the entrance of the hall for the foundation establishment cultivators to take a look. 10th great-uncle Wang Zhihe then discussed the price with them. After spending more than 2 hours, they finally settled the purchase price of all the ores and spirit wood. The purchase price here was 2 to 4 times the price of Qingli market. The total price of the 2 ships of goods was about 3 times the average price of Qingli market. The clans at Heiyun Lake also bought the resources together and then distributed them. The Wang clan also did not need to negotiate with each clan. A total price was enough. After the price of the 2 ships of goods was settled, Li Xinghe even treated the Wang clan to a meal. Although Heiyang County lacked ores, spirit wood and other resources, it was much better than Qingli County in terms of rearing spirit beasts. At the banquet for the Wang clan there were all kinds of demonic beast meat. A few of the dishes were actually made with rank 2 demonic beast meat. This was an eye-opener for Wang Zhihe and Wang Daochang. On the other hand, Wang Daoyuan did not mind. He usually ate all kinds of demonic beast. After the meal, Wang Zhihe asked Li Xinghe, "Senior Li, is it possible for you to sell demonic beast meat?" To be honest, there are very few demonic beasts in Qingli County other than the Heaven/Mountain Range. Hunting the demonic beasts in the Heaven/Mountain Range is too dangerous. The cost of rearing spirit beasts is too high and it is difficult to raise them on a large scale. Therefore, this demonic beast meat is very precious in Qingli market. If my Wang clan comes here to sell ores and spirit wood, we can go back and sell the demonic beast meat. It is better than nothing and both of us can earn more. He was not afraid that the clans of Heiyang County would directly transport the demonic beast meat and compete with the Wang clan for business. Heiyang County had very few rivers and cultivators were not good at boats. They were too far away from competing with Qingli County for water transportation. The northern part of Heiyang County was mostly grasslands, and there were very few places where spirit farms could be developed. However, it was extremely suitable for raising all kinds of spirit beasts. Usually when slaughtering spirit beasts one would need their horns, bones, teeth, scales and so on to refine magic tools. The meat of spirit beasts was really worthless. Cultivators usually ate meat as their staple food. The status of meat in Heiyang Prefecture was similar to the status of spiritual grains in Qingli Prefecture. In the past, no one had ever thought of selling spirit beast meat to Qingli County. Since the water route was impassable, it would take more than a month to travel tens of thousands of miles on land while carrying a large amount of spirit beast meat. By then the meat would have already gone bad. If he were to bring along a living spirit beast, he would have to prevent the spirit beast from escaping and rogue cultivators from intercepting him. It would require too much manpower and the losses outweighed the gains. Now that there was a waterway, the speed of transportation was much faster than by land. The spirit ship was filled with demonic beast meat, unlike when it was filled with ores which would severely affect its speed. If they drove the spirit ship at full speed they could reach Clear Glass City in 3 to 4 days. Demonic beast meat didn't rot as easily as ordinary meat. After 3 to 4 days it was still relatively fresh. Hearing this, Li Xinghe was energized. This was a huge business opportunity. He hurriedly replied, "Of course there's no problem. Which one of us doesn't have a large number of spirit beasts? As long as the Wang family is willing to accept it, there's no problem on our side. We can have as many spirit beasts as you want, dead or alive." After that, Wang Zhihe and Li Xinghe discussed the details of the cooperation. In the end, Li Xinghe represented the local family and gave the Wang family a shop for free. The location of the shop was also excellent. It was located at the first tooth of the nail, the place closest to the mouth of the Yuma River. Li Xinghe gave the token that controlled the shop's array formation and a communication jade talisman to Wang Daoyuan. This communication jade talisman was not simple. It could only be refined by at least a second-tier upper-grade weapon refiner. Communication jade talismans were used one-to-one. Ordinary communication jade talismans only had a maximum transmission distance of about 2,000 miles. However, the communication jade talisman that Li Xinghe gave him had a maximum transmission distance of 10,000 miles. Using this jade talisman he could directly communicate with Heiyun Lake Market from Jade Spring Peak. Wang Daoyuan and the others left Heiyun Lake with 2 spirit ships filled with fresh spirit beast meat. Although it was fresher to bring live spirit beasts to Qingli Market to slaughter them, transporting them was difficult. Once the spirit beasts caused a ruckus, the ship would capsize. Spirit stones were placed in all the energy supply array cores of the propulsion array formation inside the spirit ship, and the array formation was operating at full power. In just 3.5 days they arrived at Qingli Market. The 2 spirit ships docked at the small dock of the Jade Spring miscellaneous goods store. Wang Daoyuan called out and a few people immediately ran out of the store to help unload the goods. Everyone quickly moved the spirit beast meat to the underground freezer of the Drunken Immortal Inn to store it. The ice in the underground freezer of the Drunken Immortal Inn was made with first-tier ice attribute spirit talismans. Wang Daoyuan could barely refine ice, wind and thunder attribute spirit talismans. However, because he did not have a second-tier talisman inheritance, he could only refine first-tier spirit talismans. Unfortunately, if the ice attribute spirit talisman was used in the outside world, the ice created would quickly melt. It was not effective to use it on the spirit ship. The cost of creating a spirit ship that could store ice was too great. The gains did not make up for the losses. The news of the Wang family bringing back 2 ships of spirit beast meat spread throughout Qingli Market. Even the business of the Drunken Immortal Inn improved. The matter of the Iron Screen Mountain in Heong County was also not a secret. It was obvious that the Wang family had made a deal with the clans in Heong County to buy the demon beast meat. As for what they were selling, it was obvious. In a small room in the Yang family store where Wang Shui had reached foundation establishment, the Yang family patriarch sat high above and asked the 2 youths, "You all know that the Wang family sold the ores and spirit wood to Heong County and shipped the spirit beast meat back. Tell us, what should our Yang family do?" There was a middle-aged man and 2 youths in the room. There were a total of 3 foundation establishment cultivators. One of the muscular youths said, "The Wang family is simply looking down on our Yang family. We have protected them for 300 years and they repay kindness with enmity. And the Meng family, this matter was instigated by them. They have really raised a bunch of ingrates." Yang Yong said, "Yuhu, you can't say that. Yuan, what do you think?" Yang Yulin replied, "Although the Wang family's business with Heong County will cause the price of ores and spirit wood to rise, they are not deliberately harming our Yang family's interests. Heong County has spent several hundred years of effort to open up the waterway. They have made ample preparations and the general trend is already set. Even if the Wang family does not do this business on account of our Yang family, what about the Liang family? Once the waterway is open, there will always be people doing business. Rather than letting the enemy take the initiative, why not let the Wang family take advantage of this first?" The Wang family has 4 foundation establishment cultivators and Wang Daoyuan seems to have obtained the legacy of an ancient cultivator. He has cultivated 5 elements techniques and even obtained a foundation establishment pill. Otherwise, how could a pentaspirit veins cultivator reach foundation establishment before Wang Daochang? It is hard to say how many foundation establishment pills he has obtained. It is also hard to say how many foundation establishment cultivators the Wang family will have in the future. The Wang family has already become an influential power in the northern part of Qingli County. In the future, whatever our Yang family wants to do, it will be much better with the Wang family's cooperation. Our Yang family should rely heavily on the Wang family and treat them as an important ally, not an enemy. If we push the Wang family into the enemy camp because of such a small matter, our losses will be even greater. It is just that I do not understand, where did the Meng family get the guts to instigate this matter? Chapter 173. The middle-aged foundation establishment cultivator smiled. "What Yulin said makes sense. It's indeed not worth it to fall out with the Wang family over such a small matter. As for the Meng clan, you're still young and don't know much about Meng Chongfeng. Meng Chongfeng was an astute man and a man of means. It's just that he didn't have the foresight to think that the Yang clan would leave him alone if he was still useful." Yang Yong heaved a sigh and said, "Oh Yuhu, you're still too young and impetuous." He was clearly a good seedling who had opened up his violet palace, but his way of thinking was so simple. You have to think about the big picture when you do things. You can't just do whatever you want. I'm really envious of the Wang clan. Our Yang clan only has Yulin, while the Wang clan has Wang Shui and Wang Daochang. Furthermore, Wang Shui's talent was extremely high, and it was said that he was very close to senior Wang Qingzu's. Thus, establishing a violet palace wouldn't be a problem for him. In addition, this Wang Daoyuan who has my bloodline has built his foundation with the aptitude of penta-spiritual roots, and has also obtained an extremely brilliant cultivation method of the 5 elements. The day of the Wang family's rise is not far away. Our Yang family's attitude towards the Wang family also has to change. Yang Yuhu said angrily, even if the day of our rise isn't far away, we haven't risen yet, right? We just have to cripple the Wang clan before they rise. Yang Yong angrily rebuked, fool. Do you think the Wang clan is a pushover? Back then the Wang family's ancestor had died in battle, but the Jade Spring Peak had not been breached. The Wang family had offered up a large amount of wealth in most of their businesses. Let me mediate and the Wang clan will join the Netherworld sect. The Netherworld sect had only destroyed the Myriad Water Origin Formation and extracted some of the spiritual veins of the Jade Spring Peak. Who would know if the Wang family had left behind any trump cards? Liang had long coveted the Jade Spring Peak's high-grade Tier 3 spiritual vein, but he hadn't dared to make a move for the past 300 years. Wasn't it because he was afraid that the Wang clan had some powerful trump cards? If the Yang family made a move, they would be heavily injured by the Wang family's backup plan. That Liang clan's mouth would be crooked from smiling, easily swallowing up the Yang, Wang and Meng clans, becoming the overlord of the north of Qingli County. We have been friends with the Wang clan for hundreds of years. When the Wang clan rises, they will take care of the Liang clan and will not touch our Yang clan. If Wang Shui became a Zifu disciple in the future, he would definitely join the Netherworld school. Since the old family has joined the Netherworld sect, they are natural allies with our Yang family. If Wang Shui becomes a golden core cultivator, so what if our Yang clan relies on the Wang clan? Aren't we relying on the underworld sect now? Relying on a core formation clan was not shameful. Furthermore, they could borrow the power of the Wang clan to expand their influence to the entire Qingli County, becoming the second strongest clan in Qingli County. All these years the Wang family had been working hard on the Heaven/Mountain range, and had unclear relations with the Green Willow region. Most likely they had already prepared a contingency plan. Even if we were to suppress the Wang family, it would be very difficult to do so. If we make a move against the Wang family, once the Wang family rises, our Yang family will be in danger of extinction. Playing dirty and assassinating a foundation establishment cultivator of the Wang clan. Hasn't the Liang clan done it before? Back then the Liang family sent people to assassinate Wang Jiza. 4 or 5 of the foundation establishment stage assassins died, and it was said that Wang Jiza was crippled. And the result? Right now Wang Jiza was at least at the 8th level of foundation establishment. He was even more powerful than the 5 foundation establishment good-for-nothings from the Liang clan. Even if they were looking for assassins to assassinate the foundation establishment cultivators of the Wang family, there might not be any foundation establishment cultivators who would dare to accept this mission. Soft methods are useless, they don't dare to use hard methods, and it's hard to find assassins if they're shady. If we, the Yang family, take care of the Wang family, that would be taking the risk of extinction and helping the Liang clan do the dirty work. Kid, you should cultivate well in the future and be a Dao protector for the family. Don't think about getting involved in the family's decision-making, you're not cut out for that. Yang Yuhu was still unconvinced. I don't believe the foundation establishment cultivators of the Wang family are that powerful. I'll go teach the Wang family a lesson and let them know who's the master. With that said, he turned and ran out in a huff. Yang Yulin hurriedly went forward to stop him, but Yang Yuhu pushed him away and ran out of the door. The middle-aged foundation establishment cultivator asked Yang Yong, "Grandfather, aren't you afraid that Yuhu will cause trouble?" Yang Yong raised his teacup and drank a mouthful of tea, smiling. What trouble can he cause? I know Yuhu's temperament very well. He won't bully the qi refinement cultivators of the Wang family. He will only find trouble with the foundation establishment cultivators. The Wang family has 4 foundation establishment cultivators. Who can he beat? The foundation establishment cultivators of the Wang family are all people who can see the big picture and won't hurt him. Let him cause trouble. It can also be considered as a warning to the Wang family. The middle-aged foundation establishment cultivator was somewhat incredulous, asking, "You're saying that Yuhu can't beat Wang Daoyuan?" Wang Daoyuan has just entered the foundation establishment realm not long ago. Yang Yong smiled. Last time when we went to exterminate the Red-Beard bandits, more than 30 foundation establishment cultivators suffered heavy casualties, but Wang Daoyuan came out unscathed. According to the report of a spy, the 6th master of the Red-Beard bandits went to hunt him down. That sixth master is a wind attribute cultivator at the third level of the foundation establishment realm. Even when he returned, his injuries were not light. Do you think that Yuhu can hurt him? The middle-aged cultivator asked in shock. Is he really that powerful? That's why Yulin and I guessed that he had obtained some kind of inheritance. It's also good to let Yuhu probe his background. Yang Yong sighed. Unfortunately, this kid wasn't born in the Yang family. Wang Daoyuan stayed in his shop for half a day, leaving behind some rank 2 spirit talismans. Then, together with 10th granduncle and 3rd brother, he took the boat back to Jade Spring Peak. Just as the spirit ship sailed out of the clear glass market, a fiery red sword light descended from the sky. Wang Daoyuan used the water dragon technique, directly condensing a water dragon under the water. When the sword light arrived, the water dragon soared into the sky from the river, blocking the sword light. One of the water dragon's claws was also cut off by the sword light. Wang Daoyuan increased the input of water spiritual energy, and the dragon claw instantly grew back. He asked loudly, I wonder which Daoyu wants to give me some pointers? An arrogant voice sounded. Everyone says that the Wang family's water dragon technique is powerful, but after seeing it today it's only so. Wang Daoyuan asked, in that case Daoyu is here to cause trouble? At this moment, a cultivator dressed as an itinerant cultivator with a veil on his face appeared more than 500 feet in front of the spirit ship on his sword. That person condensed a fire dragon that was more than 100 feet long and attacked Wang Daoyuan. Wang Daoyuan controlled the water dragon and dragged the fire dragon into the river. A cloud of smoke rose from the water surface, and the fire dragon disappeared without a trace. Wang Daoyuan asked, Daoyu wants to spar with me. How about letting my Qi refinement clansmen leave first? That person replied, sure, a few Qi refinement clansmen here will only delay things. If they are hurt, it will seem like I'm bullying the weak. Wang Daoyuan summoned the water dragon out of the river surface, left the spirit ship and landed on the water dragon. He kept an eye on his opponent to prevent him from attacking the spirit ship. The spirit ship quickly sailed for 2 to 3 miles, and the opponent could no longer attack the spirit ship. Wang Daoyuan took out the smooth wave sword and said, please enlighten me. The itinerant cultivator held the sword in his right hand, and with his left hand he brushed the sword with his fingers. Instantly, 3 scarlet beams of light shot towards Wang Daoyuan. The 3 scarlet beams of light were not powerful, and a water wall blocked all 3 of them. However, this move scared Wang Daoyuan quite a bit. The move that the itinerant cultivator used was a common starting move used by sword cultivators. It was called sword casting. Sword cultivators mainly focused on the sword, but it was not that they did not cultivate Dharma spells. It was just that when they were fighting they cast Dharma spells with the sword in their hands. The Dharma spells would be imbued with the sharpness of the sword, increasing their power greatly. This method of casting was called sword casting. What the itinerant cultivator used was the basic move of sword casting. If this person was a sword cultivator, Wang Daoyuan would not be confident of defeating him if he did not use all his trump cards. Chapter 174. The rogue cultivator saw that Wang Daoyuan easily blocked the 3 red lights and waved his sword, sending out 2 more red sword lights. The person in front of him might be a sword cultivator, so Wang Daoyuan didn't dare to underestimate him. He used 10,000 dragons emerging from the sea to split a water dragon into 3 small water dragons about 8 meters long. One of the water dragons turned into a water dragon armor to protect himself. The other 2 water dragons went to meet the 2 red sword lights. The 2 water dragons scattered the sword lights, but also lost a small part of their bodies. This rogue cultivator is at Foundation Establishment Level 3. If he was a sword cultivator, a small water dragon definitely wouldn't be able to block one of his sword lights. Since he's not a sword cultivator, Wang Daoyuan was relieved. The opponent's main cultivation is fire. Fighting him on this clear glass river is already disadvantageous to him. This rogue cultivator doesn't have much explosive power, so it's hard for him to heavily injure him, so he only needs to rely on the water dragon technique to wear him down. He injected water attribute spirit energy into the 2 broken dragons, and the 2 water dragons returned to their original state. The rogue cultivator's cultivation is 2 levels higher than him, but he couldn't gain the upper hand, so he's a bit anxious. He landed on the water, controlled his flying sword to go around the 2 water dragons, and went straight for Wang Daoyuan. Wang Daoyuan used smoke escape to hide beside the 2 water dragons. The flying sword missed its target and turned around to attack him once again. He controlled the 2 water dragons to form a 160-meter-long one, and pounced on the flying sword. The water dragon opened its mouth and swallowed the flying sword. The rogue cultivator controlled the flying sword with all his strength, trying to penetrate the water dragon and escape. Wang Daoyuan increased the input of spirit energy, controlling the water dragon to suppress the flying sword. The battle between the 2 has completely turned into a war of attrition. It depends on who has more spirit energy. Wang Daoyuan still has the water dragon armor on his body, so even if the rogue cultivator has spare energy to attack, he still has the power to fight. But without his flying sword, the rogue cultivator can be said to be completely defenseless. Then he separated another water dragon that was about 6 meters long from the water dragon armor. The little water dragon dived into the river from under his feet and did not show itself above the water surface. The rogue cultivator had used all his spiritual energy and consciousness to control the flying sword, so he didn't notice Wang Daoyuan's little trick. 3 breaths later, a small water dragon suddenly drilled out from the river under the rogue cultivator's feet and tied him up tightly. The rogue cultivator was still unwilling to admit defeat. He divided a portion of his spiritual energy to fight against the water dragon coiling around his body, while the rest of his spiritual energy and divine sense continued to control the flying sword. When Wang Daoyuan saw that he was not convinced, he sent out another water dragon that was 20 feet long. It flew directly towards the rogue cultivator and merged with the water dragon on his body. The water dragon's power had increased, and he had to divert more of his spiritual energy to fight it. With this extra force, the power on the flying sword immediately weakened a lot, and it was instantly subdued by Wang Daoyuan. The water dragon wrapped around the flying sword and flew towards Wang Daoyuan. Wang Daoyuan took the flying sword and kept it in his storage bag. He then controlled the big water dragon to pounce on the rogue cultivator. After the rogue cultivator gave up on the flying sword, he was trying his best to break free from the 4-meter-long water dragon on his body. He would succeed in a few more breaths. But at this moment, the 16-meter-long water dragon had already flown in front of him and merged with the 4-meter-long small water dragon, quickly entangling him. At this moment, on the tall building of a shop in the old square, 3 cultivators, old, middle-aged and green, were standing at the window, watching the battle between Wang Daoyuan and the rogue cultivator from afar. The middle-aged cultivator was shocked. The Wang family's water dragon technique is so powerful. That Wang Daoyuan is only at Foundation Establishment Level 1, but he can suppress Jade Tiger, who is at Foundation Establishment Level 3. The old cultivator was Yang Yong. He smiled. How is this powerful? Back then I saw with my own eyes that Senior Wang Qingzu used the water dragon technique to condense a 1,000-meter-long giant dragon and strangled a mid-stage Aurus core cultivator of the Cruel Sun Palace to death. That cultivator's Aurus core was forcefully crushed. Wang Daoyuan cultivates the 5 elements technique, not the Wang family's art of overturning sea. His water dragon technique is still lacking a bit. If Wang Shi used the water dragon technique, a 10-meter-long water dragon would be able to subdue Jade Tiger. Yang Yong said to the middle-aged cultivator, Xiqing, go and bring Jade Tiger back. Also invite Wang Daoyuan here. Let's hope that this failure can make you who remember it well. Wang Daoyuan wanted to transform the water dragon armor on his body into a water dragon and attack his opponent again. But he heard someone shout behind him, Little friend Wang, Jade Tiger is young and impetuous. After hearing the ancestor praise you, he is unconvinced and wants to spar with you. Please spare him this time. Wang Daoyuan turned around and saw that it was the Yang family's Yang Zhiqing. He cupped his hands and said, Greetings, Senior Yang. Senior, are you saying that this rogue cultivator dressed as Dao Yu is Brother Yang? He immediately recalled the water dragon and cupped his hands. Brother Yang, sorry for the offense. Then he took out the flying sword he snatched from his storage bag and handed it back to Yang Yuhu. Yang Yuhu took the flying sword and didn't have the face to stay any longer. He turned around and flew towards the southeast on his sword. Yang Zhiqing smiled. Little friend Wang, thank you for your magnanimity. My grandnephew is too useless. I hope Wang little friend doesn't blame him. I came here because the ancestor ordered me to invite little friend to the Yang family's shop for a chat. Wang Daoyuan cupped his hands and said, since it's ancestor Yang's order, Junior will go. Senior, please lead the way. Yang Zhiqing flew in front on his sword and Wang Daoyuan followed closely behind. They arrived at the shop where the Yang family's ancestor was. Seeing Yang Yong, Wang Daoyuan bowed and said, Junior Wang Daoyuan greets ancestor Yang. Yang Yong smiled, Daoyuan, you're here. Please take a seat. When you caught the Qing River carp, I knew you weren't a fish in a pond. I didn't expect you to grow to this extent in less than 30 years. The younger generation will surpass us in time. Being able to successfully build your foundation with 5 spiritual roots, your future achievements are limitless. I see that your spiritual sense isn't weak. It won't be difficult for you to establish your violet palace in the future. I only have a little more than 100 years left. After I pass away, I hope you can take care of the Yang family for the sake of this old man's bloodline. Wang Daoyuan repeatedly said, Ancestor, why do you say that? You'll reach the golden core stage soon. Brothers Yu Hu and Yulin have already passed the foundation establishment stage. It won't be difficult for them to establish their violet palace. Yang Yong said with gratification, Yulin can indeed be entrusted to you, but he's still too young. Although Yu Hu's talent is good, he's impulsive. I just praised you and he wasn't convinced and challenged you to a duel. He's not cut out for great things. Yang Yulin continued from the side. Fourth brother heard some rumors and thought that the Wang family wanted to go against the Yang family. Ancestor praised you again. He was angry and challenged you to a duel. Please don't take offense. After hearing this, Wang Daoyuan immediately understood that the Yang family wanted to test his attitude. He immediately cupped his hands and said, So Brother Yu Hu was angry about the Wang family doing business with the Heian County. Originally, the patriarch wanted to personally explain this matter. Since I'm here, I'll talk about this matter. The patriarch and I felt that since the iron screen mountain had been cut through, the waterway had been opened. No matter what, there would be people using the waterway to do business. Instead of letting the Liang family take the initiative, why don't we make the first move and gain the upper hand? This matter was pulled by the Meng family. I thought that ancestor allowed it. Why? Didn't the Meng family inform the Yang family beforehand? Since Meng Chongfeng was courting death, they could just push the blame to the Meng family. Would the Yang family call Meng Chongfeng over and confront him in court? Chapter 175. The Yang family was a dignified Zifu family. No matter how unhappy they would not go to the extent of openly making things difficult for a family like the Meng family. It was naturally impossible to confront them in court. Hearing Wang Daoyuan's evasive words, Yang Yulin continued, This Meng family is really too incompetent. Since the waterway is already open, doing business with Heian County is imperative. The Yang family won't have any objections. Just give my Yang family a heads up and ancestor won't disagree. Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, This Daoyu Meng is indeed not too knowledgeable about the ways of the world. Seeing that the 3 families have supported each other for hundreds of years, I hope that ancestor won't take offense. Since my Wang family harmed the Yang family's interests without knowing, we can't not express anything. Ancestor should also know that my Wang family has been breeding spirit-forbidding silkworms in recent years, and it's already on a small scale. In a few years we can sell silk. Therefore, the patriarch and I think that the silk we produce will first satisfy the Yang family's needs as much as possible. The Yang family trio sucked in a cold breath. The Wang family breeding silkworms was not considered a secret. With the jade dragon spring, planting mulberries and raising silkworms was too suitable. The Wang family's finances had changed greatly these few years. It would be strange if they did not think of ways to raise silkworms. It was just that they did not expect that the Wang family was actually raising spirit-forbidding silkworms. Ordinary Tier 1 mid-grade silk was only 20 to 30 spirit stones per catty. It was not considered much. It could barely support a foundation establishment family. But spirit-forbidding silkworms silk cost a few hundred spirit stones per catty. It was still priceless. After all, there were too few families like the Wang family sitting on a high-grade Tier 3 spirit vein and a huge spirit spring. It was also difficult to find spirit-forbidding silkworms with similar conditions. Yang Yong thought to himself, with the Wang family's conditions, breeding spirit-forbidding silkworms can completely support a golden core family. Unless the Yang family starts an all-out war with the Wang family now, otherwise, it's impossible to suppress the Wang family. Fortunately, the Yang family can buy spirit-forbidding silkworm silk first and also obtain considerable benefits. Looks like the Wang family still sincerely wants to ally with the Yang family and has no intention of suppressing the Yang family. What he did not know was that the Wang family really looked down on the position of Clear Glass River's northern overlord. The Wang family's goal was to develop in the direction of the Heaven/Mountain Range, then think of a way to develop east of the Heaven/Mountain Range. Now that he had the Five Elements Mystery Realm, he had a way out. The next step was to open up a secret passage between the Jade Spring Peak and the Five Elements Mystery Realm, and move some of the clansmen there. After this step was completed, the next step was to set up the Linhai Prefecture. They had to jump out of the broken boat of the Underworld sect as soon as possible. Why were they competing with the Yang family? After a long while, Yang Yong finally reacted and gave Yang Yulin a look. Yang Yulin immediately asked, "Cousin, are you serious?" Wang Daoyuan replied with a smile, "Of course it's true. My Wang clan is not proficient in the art of refining. Even if we arrange for our clansmen to practice it now without any inheritance, it would be difficult for them to achieve anything great in a few hundred years." The Wang clan had no use for the god-restricting silkworm silk, so they could only think of ways to sell it. The Wang family has been taken care of by the Yang family for more than 300 years. Naturally, they should return the favor and give this great profit to the Yang family. Yang Yong stroked his beard and laughed, saying, "Sure, for hundreds of years, the two families have intermarried for generations and are already as close as one family. There was bound to be someone doing business in Heong County. It was better for the Wang clan to do it than for the Liang clan to take the initiative. There is no distinction between our two clans. If the Wang clan makes a profit, the Yang clan makes a profit." Wang Daoyuan and the three Yang clan members exchanged greetings for a long time before bidding farewell and leaving. After Wang Daoyuan left, Yang Yong let out a sigh and said, "The Wang family really has such strong destiny. They actually found the god-restricting silkworm. Fortunately, our relationship with the Wang clan is not bad and we can get a share of the profits. With Wang Shi's talent and the wealth provided by the god-restricting silkworm, the Wang clan has a greater chance of becoming a golden core clan. Our Yang clan also has a chance to soar. I have fought with that old fogey Liang Liang for my entire life and only managed to gain the upper hand with the help of the Redbeard bandits. It seems that if we want to completely suppress the Liang clan, we still need to borrow the Wang clan's hand. In the future, you have to build a good relationship with the Wang clan. With your own strength, you can at most have my current achievements. If we can borrow the rise of the Wang clan, our Yang clan might be able to produce a golden core in the future." Yang Zhiqing and Yang Yulin both nodded in agreement. Wang Daoyuan left the Yang clan and rushed back to Jade Spring Peak on his sword to report the Yang clan's attitude to the 12th uncle. However, after returning to Jade Spring Peak, he didn't see the 12th uncle. After asking, he found out that a rank 2 monster beast had appeared in the area of Mirror Iron Mountain. The clansmen guarding Mirror Iron Mountain reported to the 12th uncle that the 12th uncle had already gone to check on the situation. As soon as he heard that a rank 2 monster beast had appeared, Wang Daoyuan immediately became interested. When he sparred with Yang Yuhu before, he didn't dare to use his full strength in public and only used the water dragon technique to contend with him. It wasn't fun at all. Now that a rank 2 monster beast had appeared, he could use it to practice. He wasn't worried that the rank 2 monster beast would be very strong. Otherwise, the 12th uncle wouldn't have gone alone. The clan's affairs were managed by the various elders and the disciplinary hall's affairs were handled by the stewards. There was no need for a foundation establishment cultivator to take action. He directly rode on Yun-E Tiger and left Jade Spring Peak, flying towards Mirror Iron Mountain in the southeast direction. Before he reached Mirror Iron Mountain, he saw the 12th uncle patrolling in the sky on his sword from afar. Wang Daoyuan urged Yun-E Tiger forward and asked, "12th uncle, what kind of rank 2 monster beast has come?" Wang Shi shook his head and said, "I haven't seen it before. It's just that this beast has been moving around in the vicinity, leaving some traces and releasing the aura of a rank 2 monster beast. However, it hasn't attacked Mirror Iron Mountain, causing everyone to be anxious." Wang Daoyuan released the golden-winged goshawk and said, "The golden-winged goshawk has good eyesight. Let it search for a while, maybe it'll find something. Oh right, during this trip to River Yang County, we sold 2 ships of goods for 3 times the price and brought back 2 ships of spirit beast meat. In the future, the clan can do a business of spirit beast meat again, and the drunken Immortal restaurant won't have to worry about lacking ingredients. There are still many important matters in the clan waiting for you to deal with. Why don't I stay here and keep an eye on things while you go back first to deal with official business? Wang Shui glanced at him and said, "Don't even think about it. It wasn't easy for me to make a trip out and you want me to go back? No way. Besides, with your set of reforms, the daily affairs will be handled well by the various elders. What official business do you need me to deal with? If there's really something that can't be dealt with, don't you still have the 2 grand elders? Stop talking nonsense. Let's drink first and wait for your golden-winged goshawk to find the monster beast. After dealing with the monster beast, we'll return to Jade's Spring Peak." After saying that, the 2 sat on Yun Yi's back. Wang Shui took out 2 wine jars from his storage bag and threw one to Wang Daoyuan. Wang Daoyuan was a little surprised and asked, "12th uncle, what's wrong with you today? You're not freeloading my wine but actually treating me to wine." Wang Shui smiled and said, "You're thinking too much. This is my improved scarlet blood wine. It's not bad for me to drink it, and there's no one else in the clan who knows how to taste wine. Help me taste this wine." Wang Daoyuan took the wine jar, opened it and drank a mouthful. He carefully tasted it and said, "There's no problem with the taste and there's no problem with the aroma. Compared to the original recipe, there's more blood worry and muscle-growing grass. The healing effect of this wine is not weak. But didn't you originally want to add the jade butterfly orchid?" Wang Shui said self-deprecatingly, "I was thinking too much. The jade butterfly orchid and the scarlet blood wine are like fire and water. After adding the jade butterfly orchid to the scarlet blood wine, the wine's aroma is not bad, but it's hard to drink. No matter how I adjusted the recipe, it was useless, so I simply gave up. The scarlet blood wine itself has some healing effect, and it's very compatible with the blood worry and muscle-growing grass. Therefore this scarlet blood wine was created. As for the jade butterfly orchid, let's talk about it later. This is the wine recipe, brew more and I'll freeload your wine in the future." After saying that, he handed a piece of paper to Wang Daoyuan. Wang Daoyuan directly stored the wine recipe into the spiritual pearls space. At this time, the golden-winged goshawk let out a sharp cry, which meant that it had found traces of the monster beast. Chapter 176. Wang Daoyuan immediately ordered Yun Yi to move closer to Golden Wing. Both of them put away the wine jars and took out their magic weapons, preparing to fight the beasts. Soon Yun Yi flew to the place where Golden Wing was. Golden Wing was circling around a small forest in the sky. It didn't dare to lower its altitude and was constantly screaming. Looking carefully, a few of the golden sword feathers on Golden Wing's wings were missing. It must have been attacked and the feathers were knocked off. Golden Wing kept circling around the small forest. The beasts that attacked it should be hiding in this small forest. Wang Shui used his divine sense to scan the small forest, but he didn't find any traces of the beasts. Wang Daoyuan realized that this was probably a beast with the ability to avoid divine sense. He used the heaven-peering technique and scanned with his divine sense, but he still found nothing. Helpless, he could only ask Golden Wing about the exact location of the beasts. In the end, Golden Wing replied that it couldn't find any traces of the beasts. Wang Daoyuan asked it about the beasts, and Golden Wing used its divine sense to transmit the information about the beasts. According to Golden Wing, this beast should be a cat. Its entire body was pitch black and it was hiding in the bushes. Golden Wing's eagle eyes could track a sparrow dozens of miles away, but it couldn't see the cat in advance. When it flew past the small forest, a black cat suddenly pounced down from the tree. Fortunately, it reacted quickly and adjusted its flying direction in time to avoid the fatal blow. However, a few of its sword feathers were still caught. Without the sword feathers of Golden Wing, its flying speed and flexibility were greatly reduced. Once it was attacked again, there was no hope of escaping. Therefore it only dared to hover in the sky. Wang Daoyuan directly recalled Golden Wing and put it back into the space of the spiritual pearl. Wang Shui condensed a water dragon that was nearly 300 feet long, then turned into more than 10 small water dragons that were more than 3 feet long and rushed into the small forest. The water dragon searched every tree in the small forest. After 2 hours, There were only a few trees left in the small forest that had not been searched. Wang Daoyuan was constantly monitoring the forest with his divine sense. Once Black Cat made a big move, it would immediately be discovered. But since they didn't give themselves away, they had either left the forest or were on the remaining trees. Wang Daoyuan used the earth armor technique and added 2 layers of medium-grade tier 2 earth armor talismans on himself before approaching the last few trees. The water dragons surrounded the last few trees. Suddenly, a cat's angry cry was heard, and a small water dragon was directly killed. Wang Daoyuan looked over and saw a cat about 3 feet long jumping around on a tree branch, dodging the water dragon's attack. The cat appeared and disappeared in his divine sense. He ordered his doppelganger to check the 10,000 Spirits book and found out that this cat was called a phantom cat, a rank 2 mid-tier demonic beast. The phantom cat's innate spell was concealment. When it used its innate spell, as long as it didn't make any big movements, opponents of the same level wouldn't be able to discover it. The phantom cat's attack power was not strong. It mainly relied on its ability to hide and ambush small demonic beasts to survive. The phantom cat was extremely cowardly. Normally, it wouldn't dare to exchange blows with opponents of the same level. It would usually hide and launch sneak attacks. If it missed, it would immediately run away. Moreover, this thing lived in the dark jungle. Although the vicinity of the Mirror Iron Mountain could be considered lush with vegetation, it was far from being called a jungle. The phantom cat was not suitable for such an environment. It shouldn't have come near the Mirror Iron Mountain. However, now was not the time to think about this. It was better to deal with this phantom cat first. He took out the 5-dragon soul-chasing whip and lashed it out. The phantom cat was still more than 200 feet away from him. The tip of the whip definitely couldn't hit it. However, the force from the whip didn't care about this distance. The phantom cat's reaction was extremely fast. It sensed the force and immediately jumped to a nearby tree. The tree it was originally on took a solid hit from the whip and directly broke from the spot where the force hit. Even though the phantom cat managed to dodge the attack, it was still shocked by it. Although the water dragon technique was powerful, it wasn't difficult for it to dodge the attack with its agility. This whip was extremely fast and powerful. It was completely possible that it would take its life. It didn't dare to be entangled anymore and directly jumped down from the tree. After landing, it fled in the direction of the sky/mountain range without looking back. The phantom cat was known for its speed. It would be a bit difficult for Wang Daoyuan to chase it down. If it was lured into the territory of other rank 2 demonic beasts, a fierce battle would be unavoidable. Fortunately, the phantom cat wasn't the type to hold grudges. After being beaten, it would do its best to avoid it in the future. In the future, it probably wouldn't come to the Mirror Iron Mountain area to cause trouble. Wang Shui withdrew the water dragon and said with a smile, "Daoyuan, you're quite strong now. You scared this black cat away with one whip. If I'm not wrong, your whip should be Zhao Baogua's, right?" Wang Daoyuan nodded and said, "This whip was snatched from Zhao Baogua when I killed him. It's a mid-grade rank 2 magic tool. Those below the Foundation Establishment realm can't unleash the true power of this whip. However, now isn't the time to think about this. The black cat that was beaten away just now was called the phantom cat. This thing likes dark and dense forest environments. It usually lives in the sky/mountain range and won't leave the forest easily. This phantom cat actually ran outside the range of the sky/mountain range. This matter is unusual. You also know that the demonic beasts that should appear in the depths of the sky/mountain range appeared outside the periphery. This might be the precursor of a beast tide. This demonic beast might have just come here by accident, or it might have escaped because demonic beasts gathered in large numbers inside the sky/mountain range and it had no place to stay. Now it's been more than 300 years since the last beast tide in the sky/mountain range. No one can say when the next beast tide will occur. If there really is a beast tide, we have to act as soon as possible. Right now, Jade's Spring Peak doesn't have the myriad water origin formation protecting it. Once a beast tide occurs, it's hard to say if our Wang family can survive. I'll continue to investigate nearby. If there's a situation, I'll report it to the family. 12th uncle, hurry back and make preparations at Jade's Spring Peak. If there really is a beast tide, we'll be caught unprepared. In history, the longest interval between beast tides in the sky/mountain range was 700 to 800 years, and the shortest interval was only 300 years. Although the scale of the last beast tide was very large and the demonic beast's losses were not small, the interval between the next beast tide and the next beast tide would be relatively long. However, no one dared to say whether it would happen in advance or not. Hearing this, Wang Shui's expression became serious. He said, "Since that's the case, I'll go back and make preparations as soon as possible. You have to be careful here. If there really is a beast tide, don't worry too much. If you lose your property, you can earn it back. Protecting your own life is the most important." After saying that, he flew towards Jade's spring peak on his sword. After Wang Shui left, Wang Daoyuan released more than 1,000 soul-chasing bees. Ever since the space in the spirit pearl had been upgraded, the area of the spirit field had increased. The soul-chasing bees' honey source had also become richer, and it could accommodate more soul-chasing bees. Currently, there were more than 6,000 soul-chasing bees in the space, and the number was still increasing. Chapter 177. Through the Wasp King, Wang Daoyuan ordered the soul-chasing wasp to explore the sky/mountain range, paying special attention to the distribution of rank 2 demonic beasts. In a beast tide, rank 1 demonic beasts were only cannon fodder, while rank 2 demonic beasts were the main force. He had been in the sky/mountain range for more than 10 years, so he had a certain understanding of the distribution of rank 2 demonic beasts nearby. If a beast tide was about to happen and the demonic beasts gathered, rank 2 demonic beasts would definitely participate. The number of rank 2 demonic beasts at the edge of the sky/mountain range would obviously be less than normal. If there were no obvious abnormalities in the number of rank 2 demonic beasts, it meant that there would not be a beast tide, at least not a large-scale one. After 4 hours, the soul-chasing wasp returned after going 2,000 kilometers into the sky/mountain range. Not only did the rank 2 demonic beasts in this area not decrease, but a few wandering rank 2 demonic beasts appeared instead. They would not stay in a fixed area but would constantly wander around, and some would even clash with the native demonic beasts. This situation was not like the gathering of demonic beasts before a beast tide. It was a bit like a huge change had occurred in the depths of the sky/mountain range. Perhaps there was a battle between high-level demonic beasts or a natural disaster, causing some demonic beasts to be forced to flee their homes. Even if it was not a beast tide, these wandering rank 2 demonic beasts were still a great threat to the Wang family's safety. Although they did not have the strength to destroy the Wang family, they still had the ability to destroy the Wang family's businesses. According to the soul-chasing wasp's investigation, these homeless rank 2 demonic beasts were not wandering around aimlessly. Their movement had a certain pattern, and their direction of movement was roughly from the southeast to the northwest. Wang Daoyuan released the soul-chasing wasp again to investigate in the southeast direction. 16 hours later, the soul-chasing wasp returned. This time, the soul-chasing wasp directly flew over the 100 Rivers Lake and explored in the southeast direction. There was no obvious change in the number of native demonic beasts in the southeast direction of the 100 Rivers Lake. However, the number of homeless demonic beasts was clearly much more than the north bank of the clear stream. These demonic beasts were constantly moving from the southeast to the northwest. However, with the 100 Rivers Lake in the way, it was difficult for the demonic beasts to continue moving northwest when they reached the south bank of the Rivers Lake. Only an extremely small number of demonic beasts continued to move north along the east bank of the 100 Rivers Lake. The demonic beasts that came from outside the Xianxia area had used this route to come here. Most of the demonic beasts were gathered at the southern shore of the 100 Rivers Lake. There were already several hundred of them, and the number was still increasing. Now they could basically confirm that something major had happened far to the southeast of the 100 River Lake, causing a large number of second-rank demonic beasts to run around in disorder. An unforeseen event that could scare away so many rank 2 demonic beasts was not something the Wang clan could handle. These demonic beasts would not stay where they were, nor would they obediently disperse. With such a large number of rank 2 demonic beasts and some rank 1 and rank 2 native demonic beasts on the way, it could be considered a small beast tide. A large group of demonic beasts gathered together without a high-level demonic beast to lead them. In a short period of time they would not have a common goal. However, when demonic beasts gathered together, it was inevitable that conflicts would occur. When the demonic beasts fought with each other, the strongest one would eventually become the temporary Beast King. At that time, under the leadership of the Beast King, the beast horde would advance rapidly in one direction, and the beast tide would be completely formed. Fortunately, the beast horde was gathered at the southern shore of the 100 Rivers Lake. With the 100 Rivers Lake in the way, they were unable to advance towards the northwest. They could only choose to advance towards the west or the southwest. If the beast horde advanced towards the west, they would enter the Clear Glass Prefecture at around 6,000 li south of the Clear Glass Marketplace. That would be the central region of the Clear Glass Prefecture. In the north of the Clear Glass Prefecture, there was the Clear Glass Marketplace. In the south, where the Clear Glass River and the Thousand Rivers intersected, there was the Thousand Rivers Marketplace. These two large marketplaces had Zifu disciples of the underworld sect stationed there. The Thousand Rivers Marketplace had more than one Zifu disciple stationed there. However, in the central region of the Clear Glass Prefecture, there were no large marketplaces, nor were there any underworld sect stationed there. When this beast horde entered the central region of the Clear Glass Prefecture, it was possible that they would annihilate many clans. Since the unforeseen event had occurred in the southeast, the southern region of the Clear Glass Prefecture would most likely be affected as well. However, without the gathering effect of the 100 Rivers Lake, there should not be a beast tide in the south. In the entire Clear Glass Prefecture, the area that would be least affected would be the northern region. After the beast horde entered the Clear Glass Prefecture, they would either continue to gather towards the west or scatter in all directions. At most, they would have some effect on the Clear Glass Marketplace. With the Clear Glass Marketplace as a barrier, the beast tide would not directly affect the Wang clan's territory. However, it was unavoidable for some beast horde to enter. He sent the information he had discovered back to the Jade Spring Peak. The clan leader and the various elders all let out a sigh of relief. As long as it was not a large-scale beast tide, it was fine. Although the invasion of a few rank 2 demonic beasts was not a small threat, it would not damage the foundation of the Wang clan. The clan leader also reported the news of their territory being attacked by demonic beasts to Yang Yong, reminding him to make early preparations. After all, before the Wang clan jumped out of the broken ship that was the underworld sect, they still had to rely on the Yang clan to shield them from the wind and rain. Yang Yong was currently guarding the Clear Glass Marketplace. If a beast tide occurred and he was not prepared, he would inevitably be punished by the underworld sect. If he was removed from his post and the underworld sect sent an unfamiliar Zifu disciple to take over, it would only be bad for the Wang clan and not good for them. If Yang Yong was able to know about the beast tide in advance and make sufficient preparations to avoid losses, it would be a great merit. He had just been promoted, so it was impossible for him to be promoted again. However, if he were to make a great contribution, his position would be even more stable. Yang Yong was still the Wang clan's backer in the underworld sect. Only when the backer's position was stable could the Wang clan have a better life. After Yang Yong learned of the strange movements of the demonic beasts, he did not dare to be negligent. He immediately activated the spies that the underworld sect had placed in the Green Willow State to investigate if there were any strange movements of the demonic beasts. Then he headed north of Qingli County, to see if any of the clans near the periphery of the sky/mountain range had discovered anything strange. Soon some families sent back news that they had been harassed by unknown rank 2 demonic beasts, and some of them had even suffered casualties. The spies of the Green Willow continent also sent news that a group of demonic beasts had gathered in the south of the 100 Rivers Lake. Yang Yong knew that the situation was serious. He immediately reported the matter to the sect to inform the various parts of Qingli County to make preparations. After all, Yang Yong only had the authority to govern the families in the northern part of Qingli County. He didn't have any contact with the families in the central and southern regions, so he couldn't quickly report the news. When the Netherworld sect learned that there was going to be a small beast tide, they reacted very quickly. He immediately sent several Zifu elders and 50 Foundation establishment cultivators over. They boarded a flying warship and headed towards the center of Clear Glass County. He also issued a conscription order for all the families in Clear Glass County to send out Foundation establishment cultivators to defend against the beast tide. The Wang clan was naturally on the list of conscriptions. However, because of their contribution in reporting the news, the Yang clan took care of them and only conscripted one Foundation establishment cultivator. Before the beast tide attacked, they would make preparations beforehand. The effect was much better than making preparations after the beast tide attacked. At least they could set up formations in advance and rely on the mountain protecting formation of the various families to deal with the demonic beasts. The number of Foundation establishment cultivators that needed to be conscripted was much lesser. If the beast tide entered Clear Glass County and caused a large number of casualties, the underworld sect would then make preparations. The 4 Foundation establishment cultivators of the Wang clan would probably all be conscripted. At that time, without the Foundation establishment cultivators to guard, if there were any rank 2 demonic beasts that escaped, they would definitely destroy many of their businesses. Their clansmen would also suffer heavy casualties. Chapter 178. After ascertaining the situation, Wang Daoyuan had a rough idea of what to do. After patrolling along the border of the sky/mountain range for a few days, he killed 2 second-rank inferior-grade demonic beasts that broke into the Wang clan's territory. Wang Shi sent him a letter every day reporting the situation outside. After learning that the Netherworld sect had issued a conscription order, he immediately returned to the Jade Spring Peak. Before he reached the Foundation establishment stage, he often found trouble with the Dark Cloud Wolves in the Green Willow province. The cooperation of the Dark Cloud Wolves was much better than a temporary gathering of demonic beasts. No one knew how to deal with demonic beasts better than Wang Daoyuan. If the Wang clan wanted to send out a Foundation establishment cultivator, he was naturally the most suitable. After returning to the Jade Spring Peak and arriving at the meeting hall, he heard the clan leader and the elders discussing who to send to resist the beast tide. Wang Shi said, "Granduncle is already old, 5th uncle is in seclusion, and Daoyuan just reached the Foundation establishment stage not long ago. I'm more suitable." Wang Daoyuan walked into the meeting hall and said, "12th uncle, let me go. No one has more experience than me in dealing with demonic beasts. I could chase after the Dark Cloud Wolf King when I was at the peak of Qi refinement. Now I can easily destroy the entire pack. Can you deal with a second-rank inferior-grade Dark Cloud Wolf King now?" After reaching the Foundation establishment stage, Wang Daoyuan could already unleash 60 to 70% of the Soul Extinguishing Bell's power. If he fully activated the Soul Extinguishing Bell, no first-rank demonic beasts could survive within 100 feet. Within 100 feet, second-rank inferior-grade demonic beasts could only breathe, and second-rank middle-rank demonic beasts would also be severely injured. Wang Shi smiled bitterly. "It's really a bit difficult. With my current strength, I have no problem fighting the Dark Cloud Wolf King. If I encounter a wolf pack, I'll be exhausted to death." Wang Daoyuan smiled. "The easiest way to resist a beast tide is to fight a war of attrition. I cultivate a full attribute cultivation technique of the 5 elements. In terms of attrition, even a heavenly spirit root can't compare to me. I have a large number of second-rank talismans with me, so I'm least afraid of a war of attrition. Besides, I'm not the only one resisting the beast tide. The Netherworld sect and the other clans have all sent out Foundation establishment cultivators. This beast stampede doesn't have much to do with our Wang clan. I'm not a rash person, so there's no need for me to fight head-on. Also, many people knew that the 12th uncle was the hope of the Wang family's rise. There weren't many families that wished for the Wang family to rise again. Even the Yang family wasn't willing to see the Wang family return to the glory of their ancestor. If the 12th uncle went out, he might be schemed against. And the fact that I have Penta spiritual roots is not a secret. It's not worth it to spend such a huge price to scheme against me." 9th great-uncle said worriedly, "After all, you've just built your foundation not long ago. I'm afraid it'll be a bit difficult for you to deal with a second-rank demonic beast, right?" Wang Daoyuan waved his hand and said, "9th great-uncle, you don't need to worry. A few days ago I was intercepted by the Yang family's Yang Yuhu and had a spar. Yang Yuhu's cultivation was at the 3rd level of Foundation establishment. I defeated him with only the Water Dragon art. The Water Dragon technique could only be considered the weakest of my trump cards. In a life-and-death situation, I couldn't care less if it was a trump card or not. If I used all my means, it would be difficult to kill a 4th or 5th level Foundation establishment cultivator, but the chances of defeating him were still very high. Demonic beasts can't be compared to cultivators. Their means are too simple. An ordinary rank 2 demonic beast strength is far inferior to that of a rank 1 cultivator. A mid-rank rank 2 demonic beast can't threaten my little life." Hearing him say this, all the elders were very shocked. Wang Shui, on the other hand, wasn't too surprised. When dealing with the phantom cat that day, the power of Wang Daoyuan's casual whip could scare away a mid-rank rank 2 demonic beast. Wang Shui also had some guesses about his strength. Wang Shui sighed and said, Daoyuan's fighting strength is indeed above mine. Forget it, I can't win against you, so I'll let you go. However, you can't go without any preparations. Before you reach Foundation Establishment, there are some things that you can't use. This time, when you go to resist the beast stampede, you might encounter any danger. If you don't bring something to defend yourself, the elders and I won't be at ease. Go find the 2 grand elders and have them prepare some good things for you. Wang Daoyuan left the assembly hall and came to the hidden scriptures tower. He said to Taigong, Taigong, I'm going to respond to the call to resist the beast stampede. The 12th uncle told me to find you and 5th granduncle to get some life-saving things. Taigong didn't say anything. He got up and went into the ancestral shrine. After half a cup of tea's time, he came out with 3 jade boxes. Wang Daoyuan took the jade boxes. When he wanted to open them, he found that there was a layer of restriction on the jade boxes. This restriction not only had the function of preventing the jade boxes from being opened by force, but it also seemed to have the function of suppressing the contents of the boxes. He curiously asked, Taigong, what kind of treasure is this? Taigong took one of the jade boxes and said, Remember the method I used to open the jade boxes? These things have been here for hundreds of years. They can't be exposed outside for a long time. Usually they have to be sealed in jade boxes. After saying that, he poured the power of his spiritual sense and spiritual power into the jade boxes, making them follow a specific path. After a few breaths of time, the restriction on the jade boxes closed. The jade boxes opened, revealing the contents of the boxes. Inside the boxes was a blue pearl about the size of a grape. The pearl was filled with blue water spiritual power. However, this water spiritual power was very tyrannical, as if it could explode at any time. If this pearl were to explode, Wang Daoyuan knew that he definitely wouldn't be able to withstand it. Taigong quickly closed the boxes. Following the path he used to open the boxes, he circulated his spiritual power and spiritual sense in the opposite direction. The restrictions on the boxes opened again. Wang Daoyuan took one of the boxes. According to Taigong's demonstration method, he used it once and successfully opened the box. Taigong smiled and said, This pearl is called the Gui Water Lightning Pearl. It was left behind by the old ancestor. A bolt of Gui Water Lightning is sealed inside. Once it explodes, it's enough to kill a peak Foundation Establishment cultivator and heavily injure an early Zifu realm cultivator. This was something the old ancestor exchanged with the Zhao clan in the past. He exchanged for quite a few and used quite a lot these years. You should use these 3 Gui Water Lightning Pearls sparingly. There aren't many left in the clan. If you encounter an enemy you can't beat, throw it at them. This pearl will explode upon contact. You can also inject a strand of spiritual sense in advance and use it to detonate it. Its destructive range is 200 feet. When you use it, be careful not to injure yourself. Gui Water Lightning and Lightning Pearls. Although Wang Daoyuan has never seen them, he has heard of them. Gui Water Lightning is one of the 5 elements lightning. It was the ultimate technique of the Zhao clan. Only Foundation Establishment cultivators and above can use it. Most of the water attribute techniques don't have much power. If you want to kill, you can only rely on a huge amount of water spiritual power. The Wang clan's water dragon technique walks on this path. Gui Water Lightning is an exception. It consumes about the same amount of spiritual power as other techniques of the same level, but its destructive power surpasses most lightning attribute techniques. The Zhao clan relied on Gui Water Lightning to dominate the country of Zhao for nearly 10,000 years. If not for the fact that the Zhao clan's experts suffered too many casualties in resisting the beast tide, the 3 major sects would just be delivering food to them. The Gui Water Lightning Pearls in his hands can only kill peak Foundation Establishment cultivators. This means that the Zhao clan's people who made these lightning pearls are only at the late Foundation Establishment stage. The method of making lightning pearls is very similar to primitive spiritual talismans. In the beginning, spiritual talismans are all made by casting techniques and then using things to seal them up. This method of making spiritual talismans is too simple and crude. Not to mention the high requirements for the materials used, the spiritual talismans will often self-detonate. Later there was an expert in spiritual talismans who created runes based on the techniques. As long as the runes are drawn and injected with spiritual power and spiritual sense, the spiritual talismans made can display the effects of the original technique. This is how the spiritual talismans came to be. However, the 5 elements lightning is very special and no replacement runes have been developed. Therefore, the most primitive method of making lightning pearls is still used. If there is no restriction on the jade box to suppress it, it might self-detonate at any time. Chapter 179. Wang Daoyuan took the Gui Water Thunder Pearl, bid farewell to Tai Gong and returned to the meeting hall. Seeing him return, Wang Shi asked, "How many did you get?" Wang Daoyuan answered, "Tai Gong gave me 3. Wang Shi gave him a token saying, "This is the Netherworld Sect's recruitment order. Be careful when using the things the Grand Elder gave you. This thing has never been given to Qi refinement cultivators because they can't run away from it. After using it, run as fast as you can, don't throw your life away." Wang Daoyuan laughed. "Don't worry, my cloud mist escape can move me nearly 400 feet in one breath. This thing can't hurt me." In the central part of Qingli County, there are also many rivers. Staying alive is no problem. 12th uncle, I'll leave the golden wings to you. Let him patrol the eastern border. These few days, there are 2 second-rank low-grade demonic beasts roaming over. Without the golden wings on guard, Foundation establishment cultivators can't keep an eye on them. Finished speaking, he took the golden wings out of the space and gave them to Wang Shi. Leaving the golden wings behind, he bid farewell to the clan leader and the elders, and rushed to Qingli Market on his sword. In the northern part of Qingli County, those who accepted the recruitment gathered at the Netherworld Sect's Qingli Market headquarters. Outside the gate, Wang Daoyuan flashed the recruitment order, and a servant girl immediately brought him to the meeting hall. At this time, there were already more than 20 Foundation establishment cultivators in the meeting hall. Seeing Wang Daoyuan come in alone, everyone in the hall was a little surprised. A young Foundation establishment cultivator from the Liang clan snorted, saying, "As long as there are more than 2 Foundation establishment cultivators in the other clans, there will be more than 1. Why is your Wang clan special?" This Foundation establishment cultivator from the Liang clan was at the 4th level of Foundation establishment. Wang Daoyuan really didn't know him. This level of speech was much better than the Liang clan in the past, hinting to the other clans that the Yang clan opened the back door for the Wang clan. This caused the other clans to be dissatisfied with the Wang and Yang clans. Wang Daoyuan sneered, saying, "This Liang Dao, how did you know I only came alone?" According to the rules, a rank 2 demonic beast participating in the battle was also counted as a Foundation establishment cultivator, right? Why don't I call Yunyi out and have a chat with you? The Foundation building cultivator from Liang clan didn't dare to say anything else. Although Yunyi's cultivation level wasn't high, her size and aura were there. Once they were called out, everyone was so frightened that they lost their composure. The Liang family was the one that was hated the most. The head of the Yang family, Yang Ziyuan, had also arrived at the venue. He replied, "It's all thanks to little friend Wang that we were able to discover the beast tide in advance." Wang family's Jing Iron Mountain was harassed by a rank 2 demonic beast. Wang's little friend went to chase it away and recognized that the demonic beast was a phantom cat. The phantom cat usually lived in the dense forest in the depths of the Heaven/Mountain range. Suddenly running out of the Heaven/Mountain range could be a sign of a beast tide. After the Wang clan reported this matter to the Underworld sect, they discovered that there were already hundreds of rank 2 demonic beasts gathered in the southern part of the 100 Rivers Lake. If it wasn't for Wang's little friend's meticulousness, the Underworld sect wouldn't have known about this until the beast tide invaded Qingli County. At that time, it wouldn't be a matter of a few Foundation establishment cultivators appearing in each family. I'm afraid that the families in the southern part of Qingli City wouldn't even be able to protect their foundations. As soon as these words were spoken, most of the Foundation establishment cultivators cast grateful gazes towards Wang Daoyuan. Wang Daoyuan also expressed his gratitude towards Yang Ziyuan. After 4 hours, all the recruits had arrived. Ancestor Yang also arrived at the conference hall. Yang Yong opened his mouth and said, "Everyone knows about the beast tide. According to the information we've gathered, the beast tide's most likely attack direction is along the southern shore of the 100 Rivers Lake, all the way to the west. Then the first to encounter the beast tide will be the Qin family of Yellowstone Peak. Now I order all the recruited cultivators to hurry to Yellowstone Peak. After arriving at Yellowstone Peak, you will temporarily be under the command of Yang Ziyuan. When the Purple Mansion Elder of the Underworld Sect arrives, you will listen to the arrangements of the Underworld Sect Elder. Everyone agreed in unison. Yang Yong left the conference hall. At this time he absolutely didn't dare to leave Qingli City. Otherwise, once the demonic beast sneaked in and caused huge losses, his position as a guardian elder would come to an end. This time, a total of 42 Foundation Establishment cultivators were recruited. Yang Yong also sent out 10 Foundation Establishment cultivators from the Underworld sect to guard Qingli City. 52 people and 1 tiger flew towards Yellowstone Peak in the southeast direction. This tiger was naturally Yun Yi. Wang Daoyuan didn't ride on his sword. Instead he directly rode Yun Yi and hurried on. After the beast tide arrived, it was inevitable that he would have to fight side by side with other cultivators. He called Yun Yi out to familiarize himself with the other cultivators and avoid accidental injuries. Because they were facing a beast tide, it was very dangerous. Therefore, the cultivators who responded to the call weren't low in cultivation. Apart from Wang Daoyuan, there were no early-stage Foundation Establishment cultivators. Their cultivation was high and their sword riding speed was also very fast. Their speed exceeded 1,500 kilometers per hour. About 10 hours later, everyone arrived at Yellowstone Peak. The Qin family of Yellowstone Peak was also not a weak family. They had a total of 3 Foundation Establishment cultivators. The family head Qin Yuanxing was at the 7th stage Foundation Establishment realm. The other 2 Foundation Establishment cultivators were also at the mid-stage Foundation Establishment realm. He had already received a notice from the Underworld sect that a beast tide was about to arrive. Yellowstone Peak was the first target of the beast tide. Qin Yuanxing was as anxious as an ant on a hot pan. The Qin family had no way of resisting hundreds of second-stage demonic beasts. Seeing so many people coming to support him, he felt a little more confident and personally came out of the mountain to welcome them. He invited a group of Foundation Establishment cultivators to go up the mountain as a host. However, the people who came to support obviously weren't in the mood. Qin Yuanxing could only take out a map of his territory and discuss how to defend with the cultivators who came to support him. The Qin family had a total of 4 mountain peaks with spirit veins. Among them, the main vein Yellowstone Peak had a high-grade second-stage spirit vein. The mountain protecting array was also a high-grade second-stage earth array. This array didn't have much lethality. Its only advantage was that it was resistant to beatings. It was very suitable to resist this beast tide. Among the 4 spirit mountains of the Qin family, the easternmost one was called Emerald Feather Peak. There was a high-grade first-stage spirit vein on it. Emerald Feather Peak was very close to the border of the Heavenly/Mountain Range. It was only about 200 kilometers away and more than 500 kilometers from Yellowstone Peak. Obviously, Emerald Feather Peak couldn't be defended. Yellowstone Peak was the focus of the defense this time. Emerald Feather Peak was too far away and the two couldn't coordinate. The spirit vein's grade was also low and couldn't support a second-stage defensive array. If they sent people to guard Emerald Feather Peak, they would be cannon fodder. Once the beast tide arrived, they could only delay for a while. The cultivators stationed there definitely wouldn't have a chance of survival. The Qin family also knew that Emerald Feather Peak couldn't be defended and had already moved the cultivators stationed there and the surrounding ordinary clansmen away. The other 2 spirit mountains were easier to defend. These 2 spirit mountains were Crouching Tiger Mountain and Jade Bamboo Peak. Crouching Tiger Mountain was about 150 kilometers southwest of Yellowstone Peak. There was a low-grade second-stage spirit vein on the mountain. Jade Bamboo Peak was about 150 kilometers northwest of Yellowstone Peak. There was a mid-grade second-stage spirit vein on the mountain. These 3 spirit mountains were roughly arranged in the shape of a triangle. They all had second-stage spirit veins and could support a second-stage defensive array. The 3 spirit mountains weren't far from each other and it was very convenient to support each other. The clans in the central part of Qingli County also sent 35 Foundation Establishment cultivators one after another to support them. At this moment, there were a total of 90 Foundation Establishment cultivators and a tiger guarding the mountain. Among the 3 spirit mountains, Yellowstone Peak was the most important and at the forefront. Naturally, it should be heavily defended. The final arrangement was that the old family clans would send 20 people to defend Crouching Tiger Mountain and the foreign family clans would send 20 people to defend Jade Bamboo Peak. Putting the cultivators of the same camp together could also prevent internal friction. The remaining 50 people would stay behind to defend Yellowstone Peak, ready to support the other two peaks at any time. When allocating the personnel, Yang Jiaxing wanted to leave Wang Daoyuan and the Yang family cultivators at Yellowstone Peak. However, the Liang family disagreed. After a battle of words, 3 people from the Liang family were sent to Jade Bamboo Peak. Wang Daoyuan and Yang Jiqing of the Yang family were sent to Crouching Tiger Mountain. Chapter 180. As a member of the Yang family, Yang Jiqing naturally became the leader of the defense of Crouching Tiger Mountain. Wang Daoyuan and the rest followed Yang Jiqing to Crouching Tiger Mountain. The mountain peak was shaped like a crouching tiger staring at the foot of the mountain, hence the name of Crouching Tiger Mountain. The south, west, and north sides of the mountain were steep. Only the east side was a gentle slope. The spirit vein of Crouching Tiger Mountain was a metal-type spirit vein. Metal-type spirit chi was most suitable for attack. There was only one upper-grade rank 1 defensive formation on the mountain. This formation was usually enough to defend against demonic beast harassment. At this time it was far from enough to defend against beast hordes. Yang Yong was already prepared. When everyone set off from Clear Glass City, he gave Yang Ziyuan several sets of formations. The formation that Yang Jiqing brought to Crouching Tiger Mountain was called the Gold Demon Soul Severing Formation. This was an upper-grade rank 2 offensive formation. A person would sit at the core of the formation and control the formation to attack enemies. The attacking method was a second-grade metal-type spell. After these metal-type spells were strengthened by the formation, they carried a murderous aura. After injuring the enemy, it would corrode the wound and affect the mind. The spirit vein of Crouching Tiger Mountain was only a lower-grade rank 2. It was somewhat insufficient to activate a upper-grade rank 2 formation. However, formations set up with formation discs all had an energy storage function. Could store spirit chi when not in use. In addition, Yang Ziyuan also brought hundreds of mid-grade spirit stones. Once the spirit chi stored in the formation disc was insufficient, mid-grade spirit stones could be used to replenish it. Yang Ziyuan took out more than 20 formation discs. As long as they were placed in a certain order and filled with spirit stones, people who did not understand formations could easily set them up. However, it was very difficult to borrow the power of the spirit vein. It needed to draw out the spirit chi in the spirit vein and gather it into the formation disc. However, among the 10 underworld sect cultivators that Yang Yong sent, there was one who understood formations. At this time, this formation master also came to Crouching Tiger Mountain to help set up the formation. Connecting the formation disc to the spirit vein was a very troublesome matter. It would take several days to complete. However, there was no need to rush. According to the information that came back, the demonic beast horde on the south shore of 100 Rivers had just started fighting. After the victor was decided, it would take at least 10 days to half a month to set up the formation. 2 days later, 3 flying warships, 1 big and 2 small, arrived from the northwest and landed on the Yellowstone Peak. It was more than 200 zhang long and 7 to 8 zhang wide. The captain was about 10 zhang tall and 3 zhang wide. The 3 flying warships landed on Yellowstone Peak. Not long after, 2 smaller warships left Yellowstone Peak and flew towards the south. The remaining large warships stopped at Yellowstone Peak for a while, then flew towards Jade Bamboo Peak in the northwest direction and stopped there for a while. Finally, they arrived at Crouching Tiger Mountain. 50 Peak Chi refinement cultivators and 1 Foundation establishment cultivator walked down from the warship. The Foundation establishment cultivator cupped his fists at Yang Jiqing and said, "Dao Yang, there are also groups of beasts gathering at Wanchuan Market. There are even third-order demonic beasts participating. We have to hurry over to provide support. We can only leave behind these 50 Chi refinement cultivators to help." With that, he instructed the 50 Chi refinement cultivators to obey Yang Ziyuan's orders. Then they left on a large warship. Yang Ziyuan looked at the 50 Chi refinement cultivators and asked, "What are you good at?" An old Chi refinement cultivator stood up and answered, "Senior, we specialize in controlling the demon extermination crossbow. Everyone has one." The demon extermination crossbow was the huge ballista that shone in the Battle of Guyan Valley. Using middle-grade spirit stones, it could cause a fatal threat to second-order demonic beasts. It was perfect for dealing with beast herds. Yang Ziyuan smiled and said, "Then you can choose the location to set up the demon extermination crossbows. If it works well, I will report to Elder Yang and ask for credit for you." The old cultivator waved his hand and the Qi refinement cultivators dispersed to find suitable locations to set up the crossbows. In the end, 20 crossbows were set up on the east side of Crouching Tiger Mountain and 10 on the other 3 sides. 3 days later, the array formation was set up. Yang Ziyuan tried to control the array formation and there was no problem at all. The array formation master of the Netherworld sect also returned to Yellowstone Peak. In the next few days, Wang Daoyuan rode Yunyi every day to patrol the situation of the demonic beasts and report to Yang Zhiqing. 10 days later he rode Yunyi to Emerald Feather Peak. The demonic beast horde had already crossed the border of the Heavenly/Mountain Range and entered Qingli County. Moreover, the size of the beast horde had already exceeded 1,000. He immediately ordered Yunyi to fly towards Crouching Tiger Mountain at full speed. Fortunately, this beast horde was blocked by the 100 Rivers Lake and was forced to form. The 100 Rivers Lake could only block terrestrial demonic beasts and not demonic birds. Therefore, there were no demonic birds in the beast horde, so it was much easier for the Foundation establishment cultivators to deal with the beast horde. After returning to Crouching Tiger Mountain, he reported the situation to Yang Zhiqing. Half a day later, the beast horde appeared more than 300 kilometers away. Everyone stood on the high mountain and looked at the huge beast horde in the distance. They could still see it clearly. The demonic beasts did not split up and directly charged towards Yellowstone Peak. An hour later, the beast horde arrived at Yellowstone Peak and surrounded it. The thick earth formation on Yellowstone Peak had also been activated, and the entire mountain peak was suffused with an earthy yellow light. It was too far away, so Wang Daoyuan could not see clearly how the cultivators on Yellowstone Peak dealt with the demonic beasts. He only saw the demonic beasts charging a few times and being beaten down. The demonic beast horde no longer attacked Yellowstone Peak. They split into 2 small groups and rushed towards the southwest and northwest respectively. The small group of demonic beasts that rushed towards the northwest was heading towards Crouching Tiger Mountain. 15 minutes later, the small group of demonic beasts arrived at the foot of Crouching Tiger Mountain. There were more than 200 demonic beasts in this small group. When they reached the foot of the mountain, the demonic beasts did not surround the entire mountain. Instead, they began to charge up from the gentle slope east of Crouching Tiger Mountain. The Gold Fiend Soul Severing Formation on Crouching Tiger Mountain had already been activated, but it did not reveal a defensive light barrier. However, there was always a feeling of murderous intent in the formation. The area covered by the Gold Fiend Soul Severing Formation was not large. It only covered the top of the mountain that was 1,000 feet tall. The demonic beasts quickly rushed halfway up the mountain. They were only about a mile away from the top of the mountain. They had already entered the killing range of the demon extermination crossbows. However, the crossbows did not attack. Before long, the demonic beasts entered the range of the Gold Fiend Soul Severing Formation. Yang Zhiqing shouted, "Flying swords!" 19 flying swords charged towards the demonic beast horde. Wang Daoyuan also used the flat wave sword. However, the power of the flat wave sword was too weak. He aimed at an inferior grade class 2 leopard and slashed at it. The leopard dodged. The flat wave sword struck a middle grade class 2 wild boar beside it and only managed to sever a few strands of its mane. A few cultivators at the side even let out disdainful chuckles. It was truly embarrassing. He retracted his flying swords and waited for the demonic beasts to get closer before whipping them with the 5 dragon soul chasing whip. At that moment, without Yang Zhiqing's command, the 20 demon extermination crossbows on the east side of the mountain fired in unison. 20 beams of light pierced through the demonic beast horde. Unfortunately, the demonic beasts reacted too quickly and most of them dodged the attack. Only 7 demonic beasts that were slower were killed and more than 10 were injured. After firing in unison, the demon extermination crossbows needed 3 breaths of time to replace their middle-grade spirit stones. The demonic beasts took the opportunity to rush up rapidly. The leopard that dodged the flat wave sword earlier was the most energetic. It relied on its agility to dodge the attacks of the flying swords several times in a row and rushed to less than 500 feet away from the top of the mountain. Wang Daoyuan had already put away the flat wave sword and held the 5-dragon soul-chasing whip in his hand. As soon as the leopard entered the range of 500 feet, he lashed out with the whip and aimed at the leopard's head. The leopard dodged hurriedly and barely dodged the attack. Before it landed on the ground, the force of the second whip had already landed on its body. The leopard died on the spot. Seeing Wang Daoyuan finish off a demonic beast of the same level so cleanly, the expression of the cultivator who mocked him earlier changed. Chapter 181. Wang Daoyuan could not be bothered to stoop to their level. Defeating the demon beasts was his priority. 2 breaths later, the demon annihilation crossbows were reloaded with spirit stones and fired once more. This time the distance was closer and the demon beasts found it harder to dodge. In an instant, more than 10 demon beasts were killed and more than 20 were injured. Under the suppression of the demon annihilation crossbows and flying swords, the charging momentum of the demon beasts slowed down instantly. This beast stampede was a last-minute idea to begin with. Without a grade 3 demon beast to command and a last-minute beast king, it was not enough to make all the demon beasts listen obediently. They only had the thought of coming out to fight for a place to stay and did not want to risk their lives. In the face of a threat to their lives, most of the demon beasts did not want to risk their lives and charged forward. They merely moved forward slowly from the back. Those with long-range dermic spells released a few of them towards the mountain peak. However, there were many rocks on the mountain peak and the attacks of the demon beasts did not have much effect on the cultivators as long as they found a random spot to hide. A few demon beasts that relied on their agility to jump up and down were targeted by everyone's flying swords and died one after another. However, be it humans or demon beasts, there was no lack of hotheads. A grade 2 middle grade wild boar relied on its thick skin to charge forward with all its might. The wild boar even channeled its spirit energy to block the attacks of the flying swords. A few flying swords only left a bloody mark on its body. The wild boar's spirit energy was khaki and its innate dermic spell was to strengthen its defense. This should be the earth armor boar. Boar demon beast had strong bodies to begin with. Coupled with its innate dermic spell, it was difficult for cultivators of the same level to cause fatal damage to it. If this thing charged forward, the Foundation Establishment cultivators would not be afraid, but the Chi Refinement cultivators controlling the Demon Annihilation crossbows would be in danger. If the 20 Demon Annihilation crossbows were destroyed and the demon beasts charged forward en masse, the cultivators could only rely on the protection of the formation to fight against the demon beasts that were 10 times their number. Yang Zhiqing sent a voice transmission to everyone. You must protect the Demon Annihilation crossbows. Otherwise, I'll have to activate the formation in advance. All 18 Foundation Establishment cultivators attacked the Earth Armor Boar. Unfortunately, the 18 flying swords only caused some superficial wounds to the Earth Armor Boar. The Earth Armor Pig's charging speed did not decrease. Wang Daoyuan's whip hit the Earth Armor Pig's leg, but it did not affect its speed much. He might be able to severely injure the Earth Armor Pig if he used the 5 Elements whip, but there was no need for him to reveal his trump card. Since this thing's skin was thick, it was useless to attack it forcefully. Then he decided to use a softer approach. Wang Daoyuan used the water dragon technique to condense a 200-meter-long water dragon. As soon as the water dragon was formed, it let out a loud dragon roar, scaring all the demonic beasts. After all, a dragon was a divine beast. Ordinary demonic beasts would inevitably feel some fear when they felt the dragon's aura. It was just that these demonic beasts were not aquatic demonic beasts, so they did not have a strong fear of the dragon aura. They were only stunned for a moment before they continued to charge forward. At this moment, the Earth Armor Pig was less than 300 feet away from the peak of the mountain. Wang Daoyuan directly controlled the water dragon to pounce on the Earth Armor Pig. Although the Earth Armor Pig had a strong physical body, it had no way to deal with the water dragon technique. It was entangled by the water dragon technique. The Earth Armor Pig was extremely strong. Under its violent struggle, the water dragon could barely suppress it. At this moment, the demon exterminating crossbow had been replaced with spirit stones again. A demon exterminating crossbow aimed at the Earth Armor Pig. A beam of light struck, and a big hole was opened in the Earth Armor Pig's body. It died on the spot. Yang Jiqing praised him telepathically. Little friend Wang deserves the most credit for eliminating the earth armor pig. After the beast tide is eliminated, Elder Yang will ask for a reward for you. The few hotheads who were jumping up and down were all killed. None of the demonic beasts dared to step forward anymore. The demonic beasts were less than 300 feet away from the peak of the mountain. They did not dare to advance or retreat. If they continued to stay, they would only be killed by the demon exterminating crossbows one by one. An ape's roar came from the foot of the mountain. All the demonic beasts turned around and ran down the mountain. Yang Jiqing said telepathically, "Chase. Retreat immediately when you reach halfway up the mountain." 19 Foundation establishment cultivators flew into the sky and chased after the demonic beasts, casting spells to attack. Soon the demonic beasts escaped to the foot of the mountain. Everyone stopped chasing. At this time, an intimidating ape's roar sounded from the foot of the mountain. Yun Yi, who Wang Daoyuan was sitting on, also let out a roar intimidating the demonic beasts. The people and demonic beasts present were all shocked. Even the rank 2 upper-grade demonic beasts at the foot of the mountain were no exception. Wang Daoyuan was a little confused. Last time at the Ash Cloud Peak, Yun Yi suppressed 10 Foundation establishment cultivators. Because of its large size, its roar was very loud. It was not strange that it suppressed everyone. However, Yun Yi's size and roar should be useless against the rank 2 upper-grade demonic beasts at the foot of the mountain. How could even they be suppressed? Could it be that there was some mystery behind Yun Yi's roar? The Myriad Spirit Atlas did not have a detailed record of Yun Yi tigers. It only mentioned that Yun Yi tigers were extremely rare, and their biggest feature was that they could fly. At this time it was not the time to think about this. The demonic beasts fled down the mountain and everyone returned to the top of the mountain. In this probing attack, the demonic beasts lost more than 30 demonic beasts, and more than 40 demonic beasts suffered light or serious injuries. However, in this attack both sides did not bring out their true strength. On the demonic beast side, none of the rank 2 upper-grade demonic beasts made a move. On the cultivator's side, the Gold Fiend Soul Severing Formation did not activate either. Both sides did not put in all their strength. The good show was yet to come. After repelling the demonic beasts, their side was unscathed. Yang Jiqing laughed and said, "Daoyu has contributed greatly to repelling the demonic beasts." Before coming, Elder Yang instructed that killing a rank 2 upper-grade demonic beast would be rewarded with 500 spirit stones per demonic beast, 1,000 spirit stones per demonic beast, and 2,000 spirit stones for rank 2 upper-grade demonic beast. Helping to kill the demonic beast would also give half of the spirit stones. I still remember all the contributions you've made, fellow Taoists. Wang Daoyuan did not care about this little bit of spirit stones. He took the initiative to respond to the recruitment this time. On one hand, he was worried that his life would be in danger if the 12th uncle came. On the other hand, he wanted to catch some mutated demonic beasts. After all, the demonic beasts in this small beast tide had all escaped from the depths of the sky/mountain range. There might be mutated demonic beasts with high-level demonic beast bloodlines. Catching one would be a huge gain. Taking advantage of the time when the demonic beasts retreated, everyone began to meditate to recover their spirit chi. The demonic beasts at the foot of the mountain also seized the time to rest. An hour later, following an ape's roar, the demonic beasts at the foot of the mountain moved again and slowly moved to the top of the mountain. This time, all the demonic beasts rushed up the mountain. Not a single demonic beast was left at the foot of the mountain. They were going to launch a general attack. Yang Jiqing ordered the Netherworld Sect Qi Refinement cultivators to gather half of the demon extermination crossbows in the other 3 directions to the east. The east was the focus of the demonic beasts' attack. The demonic beasts did not rush to the top of the mountain directly. Instead, they slowly climbed up. When they were halfway up the mountain, their speed still did not increase significantly. At this time, the demonic beast had already entered the killing range of the demon extermination crossbows. Yang Jiqing ordered 2 demon extermination crossbows to attack and test the demonic beast's strength. The demonic beasts were too far away and had enough time to dodge. The attacks of the 2 demon extermination crossbows did not hurt the demonic beast. The leader was a rank 2 intermediate ape. The other rank 2 advanced demonic beasts all listened to its orders obediently. The ape roared a few times in a low voice as if commanding the demonic beast's next move. Ape-type demonic beasts were extremely smart to begin with. With a high cultivation, their intelligence would also improve significantly. A rank 2 intermediate ape's thinking ability should not be much worse than an ordinary person's. Of course, it still could not be compared to a human Foundation establishment cultivator. Commanding a demonic beast horde was not a problem. After the ape roared, the demonic beasts began to disperse. The demonic beasts with agile bodies and good at climbing began to move in the other 3 directions of Crouching Tiger Mountain. The other demonic beasts also dispersed and charged up the gentle slope on the east side. Chapter 182. The demonic beasts on the eastern slope began to charge up with all their might. Soon they were only 100 feet away from the top of the mountain. This was the range of the Gold Fiend Soul Severing Formation. The 35 demon extermination crossbows fired at the same time. Unfortunately, the demonic beasts were too scattered. This round of firing only killed a dozen or so demonic beasts and injured 20 or so. However, the casualties were all second-grade demonic beasts. The overall strength of the demonic beasts was not affected much. When it was testing the waters, the second-grade ape had already figured out the characteristics of the demon extermination crossbows. After one attack, the next attack would take 3 breaths of time. After this round of firing, it would not be able to attack again for 3 breaths of time. With the speed of a second-grade upper-grade demonic beast, 3 breaths of time was enough for it to reach the top of the mountain and finish off the demon extermination crossbows. The ape roared and took the lead to rush forward. When the rest of the demonic beasts saw that their leader had charged up, they followed suit. This time Wang Daoyuan and the rest were dumbfounded. The demonic beasts were charging over recklessly. Relying on the flying swords to kill the enemies was completely useless. Even if some cultivators cultivated powerful ultimate moves, they would not be able to use them in such a short time. The ape was not simply charging over. It seemed to be accumulating strength to release a powerful ultimate move. After a breath of time, a blue single-horned phantom appeared on the ape's forehead. The single-horned phantom was more than a foot long and flashed with streaks of lightning. This ape was more than 30 feet tall and covered in black fur. If not for the blue single-horned phantom, it would look no different from an ordinary black ape. In the space, the doppelganger flipped through the Myriad Spirit Atlas to find out the species of this ape. However, in the Myriad Spirit Atlas, it did not find the exact same species as this ape. However, there were indeed ape-type demonic beasts with a blue single-horned phantom on their heads. This kind of ape-type demonic beast was called the horned lightning ape. Its biggest characteristic was the blue single-horned phantom on its forehead that flashed with lightning. The description of its horn in the book was exactly the same as the phantom on the black ape's head. The horned lightning ape was one of the strongest among the ape-type demonic beasts. It was said that an adult pure-blooded horned lightning ape's cultivation could reach the 6th grade. The horned lightning ape that was discovered and recorded by human cultivators was at most a mid-grade rank 5 demonic beast. The single-horned lightning ape had great potential. In a battle between demonic beasts of the same level, it was second only to demonic beasts with a high concentration of divine beast bloodline. The horned lightning ape wasn't afraid of other demonic beasts of the same level. Of course, the ape in front of him was definitely not a pure horned lightning ape. A real horned lightning ape's fur wasn't black. A young horned lightning ape was covered in white fur, which gradually turned golden and finally purple gold. The horn on the horned lightning ape's forehead was a real horn. It wasn't like the ape in front of him, which only appeared when it cast a spell. However, the horned thunder ape bloodline in this black ape was not especially thin. Otherwise, the blue horn would not have appeared when he cast the spell. Wang Daoyuan was secretly delighted. With this fellow with the bloodline of the horned lightning ape, this trip was not in vain. If he could capture this black ape, whether it was to recognize him as its master or to refine it into an avatar, it would be a great help. He made up his mind to think of a way to capture this black ape. The most important thing right now was to break this black ape's attack. Even the true form of its ancestor was revealed. This attack of the black ape was definitely not a joke. Wang Daoyuan didn't hold back anymore. He gathered the 5 elemental spiritual energy on the 5 dragon soul chasing whip and lashed it towards the black ape's position. The 5 dragon soul chasing whip was not long enough to hit the black ape, but the force of the 5 elemental spiritual energy was very destructive within 100 feet. The speed of this force was even faster than a peak Foundation establishment cultivator's flying sword. The black ape couldn't dodge the force of the force in time. It would either be killed by this whip, or use the spell that it had been accumulating for a long time to block this force. Without a doubt, the black ape chose to use its innate spell to block this attack. The horn on the black ape's forehead condensed into a ball of lightning the size of an adult's fist. It collided with the force of Wang Daoyuan's whip. This ball of lightning was indeed the bloodline inheritance of the horned lightning ape. Even though the black ape had not fully condensed the ball of lightning, the power of this attack was still slightly stronger than Wang Daoyuan's 5 elemental attack. The two attacks collided and exploded with a strong shockwave that swept across a radius of 20 feet. Wang Daoyuan didn't know the black ape's strength. He really didn't know if the 5 elemental attack could resist the black ape's innate spell. Therefore, after this whip was lashed out, he immediately used the smoke escape and shouted, "Get out of the way." The surrounding Foundation establishment cultivators also reacted quickly. They immediately used their escape techniques and scattered in all directions, successfully dodging the shockwave of the explosion. However, the Qi refinement cultivators nearby weren't so lucky. They didn't have time to dodge at all and were directly engulfed by the shockwave. A total of 5 demon exterminating crossbows and 5 Qi refinement cultivators were torn apart by the shockwave. There were also 2 Qi refinement cultivators nearby who were severely injured by the shockwave. However, there was still hope of survival. The beast horde didn't have it easy either. Although the beast horde was more scattered than when they were probing, there were still many demon beasts within a radius of 20 feet. The second-tier inferior-grade demon beasts were severely injured and even killed. The second-tier middle-tier demon beasts were also severely injured. Although the second-tier superior-grade demon beasts weren't seriously injured, they were still thrown to the ground by the shockwave. Although the impact on the combat strength of the entire beast horde wasn't to the extent that they were seriously injured, the momentum of the entire beast horde's charge was restrained. This bought some time for the cultivators controlling the demon exterminating crossbows. They successfully fired another volley of arrows before the demon beasts could charge up. The demon beasts were stunned by the explosion. Just as they reacted, they suffered another volley of arrows. The losses were much greater than the previous time. More than 30 demon beasts died and close to 50 were injured. At this moment, within 100 feet of the mountain peak, a strong murderous aura suddenly exploded. Wang Daoyuan could only feel the murderous aura everywhere. It was as though hundreds of demon beasts were lying in ambush around him, ready to attack him at any moment. He only wanted to use all his strength to attack his surroundings. He knew that this was the activation of the gold malevolent soul severing formation. Even the minds of human cultivators were affected to this extent, let alone demon beasts with low intelligence. The timing was rather good. After being attacked twice in a row, the demon beasts were in a chaotic state and their minds were the easiest to be affected. Indeed, many demon beasts' eyes started to turn red as they attacked everything around them without restraint, including their companions. The entire beast horde was in a mess. The few demon beasts that were able to remain conscious were also captured by those that were not. The worst thing was that a second-tier metal attribute dermic art would appear in the beast horde from time to time. This was the attack method of the gold malevolent soul severing formation. The location of the dermic art was even more arbitrary. Usually, it would appear near a demon beast's vitals and was impossible to guard against. It was very easy to kill a demon beast. Even if one could avoid the fatal attack of the dermic art, as long as one was injured, the wound would slowly corrode and the demon beast would become extremely violent. If not for the low frequency of the dermic art, these dermic arts would have been able to destroy the entire beast horde. The Foundation establishment cultivators were not idle either. They flew in the air on their swords and threw all sorts of dermic arts at the beast horde. At this rate, the entire beast horde would be wiped out in less than an hour. The black ape was not affected by the formation at all. It let out a thunderous ape roar and all the living demon beasts in the beast horde woke up. After that, the black ape turned around and ran down the mountain. The living demon beasts also fled down the mountain. The Foundation establishment cultivators chased them all the way to the foot of the mountain. The beast horde did not stop at the foot of the mountain and continued to flee towards Yellowstone Peak. More than 100 demon beast corpses were left on the mountain slope and at the foot of the mountain. More than half of the demon beasts that attacked Crouching Tiger Mountain were killed. You're tuning in to the Zhou Xian's Legacy YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.